all right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to 2022 with Living Splitscreen, episode 39. How y'all doing today,
That's a
man?
big number.
It is. Well, I'm not even 52 episodes into us being like a year technically doing this, but 39 episodes, 39 weeks later, man, where we have just been giving you that live, raw, uncut, authentic, organic passion that only me and my brother from another Pong Soul himself can bring you on a Saturday morning. First of all, I do want to apologize to everyone for us starting a little bit later. For our audio listeners, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. But for our live viewers, I do want to apologize to you all because you all were ready and willing and on time. Ran across some technical issues and things, so we wanted to get that adjusted. Didn't want to sacrifice the quality of the show just to make sure that we got started on time, right? With that being said, again, good morning to Living Splitscreen. So a little bit back end, got some Horizon Zero Dawn gameplay for you on the background, playing it on PC. I'm having an actually pretty amazing time with it. I'm actually having a hard time understanding how some people found it boring, unless you don't like hiding out in the grass to plan out your moves to take down some of these Dinobots. But even then, if you want to be aggressive and attack them head on, you have those options. They'll be where you may get tossed around. Hey, but I just don't see the boring narrative just yet. And a lot of people from what I've seen, I should say, typically we're saying that it's earlier on in the game where they found it really boring. First 6 hours, and my first 8 hours in the game, I haven't gotten that yet. Now, are there games that kind of pull me away from it? Yeah. I mean, I got my brother hitting me up in the background saying, yo, Halo Infinite. I got my own little timing and everything. Life happens. Only got so much time to play so many games and such little time, right? And when I get home from work, sometimes I just want to pop on that Halo Infinite, catch me some bodies, have a good time for a couple hours, and then get some rest. Another thing too, I did actually end up being sick this week. Was on a little streak there Monday through Wednesday. Out of the 72 hours, I probably was only awake for about 10. Just to kind of give you some perspective on that. So I've been kind of fighting through that throughout this week. But other than that, the last couple of weeks that you haven't heard from us have just been nothing but family time, getting together, just taking a break, working, and just getting everything realigned with what your overall purpose is in life, right? Gaming is always going to be a hobby. It's always going to be something that I'm going to go back to as a passion. But sometimes you also got to pull away, not only from the podcasting scene, not only from gaming, but you just got to reel it back in and just spend some time with the family and just hit some things home for yourself so you can solidify some things and get a plan set up for you for the future, right? So, but that's enough about me. With that being said, I guess one other thing. Hey, it's been nothing but Halo Infinite and Horizon Zero Dawn so far. So, but with that being said, I do have to pass it off to the other half of this amazing show that we do here every Saturday. Again, like I stated in the beginning, my brother from another, an uncanny gentleman himself, somebody who I just consider a well of knowledge, not only in the gaming space, but in life itself also. And, somebody I just think that you guys should just take as serious and care for as much as I do. And that is none other than the man himself, Pong Soul. What's going on, my guy?
I've missed you. I've missed you a lot, brother. I missed all of that. 2 weeks off. We are in 2022. It is starting off with a bang, brother. Obviously, you've been sick, so that sucks. But as far as the industry goes, man, news dropping everywhere. But I do have to bring it down for a minute here, real quick.
Yeah.
Everybody, this is hard. Everybody, hey, look, continue prayers out to Spooky Sprocket, please.
Yes.
The man, it's not a good
love.
situation. For anybody who's not following his fiance Trinity Warrior on Twitter, she has been doing updates. Of course, they live in 2 different countries, so this is extremely hard on her as well. So please send your thoughts and prayers, however you do it. Again, energy, I'm an energy guy. So whatever you got to do,
me too.
Take a moment, please. Again, as Steel was just talking about, we've been appreciating real life over the past couple of weeks, along with some extra time for gaming, obviously with holidays and all that good stuff too. But real life comes first, as Steel and I always stress here. And spooky situation is real life. She updated yesterday. He's still in coma. He's got 7 days. The doctors are giving him 7 days to show signs of recovery. Otherwise, they got to make the decision. And I think we all are old enough here to understand what that means. So this is not good. And Spooky is an awesome dude, awesome human being. Anybody who's had any interactions with him, and if you haven't been fortunate to have interactions with Spooky, just trust me, myself, Steel, Fun Speculation, Mav, anybody in this community who's had interactions with the guy knows that he is a good-hearted dude. He is a single father. So please continue to send out those thoughts and prayers for him because he needs it right now. And so does their family. So does Trinity. So does his kids. All of it. So again, we've lost a lot of people in this community since I just jumped in a year and a half ago.
Yeah, seems like it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So please just continue to do that. I got to get that out of the way. It's too important. It's something that people need to keep in the front of mind. Because again, we talk about games, we talk about all this fun stuff, but again, we got to realize that real life is first, and it's here in front of us. So again, hug those closest to you. If you haven't reached out to somebody in a while to say you love them, please do so because you never know what's going to happen. So he had just responded to my New Year's video. Probably within less than 24 hours of when all this went down. Right. So that quick. But again, so just to start there, again, I just don't say that lightly at all. It's something that is weighing on my heart at all times. So I wanted to get that out of the way.
You know what, Pong? You know why I love you so much, man? Is because I feel like I talk so long sometimes, so I pass it off to you, especially during the intro, and I pass it off to you, and you just carry it on exactly the way that I want you to, and it's always so amazing. So, hey, man, you continue doing your thing, but 100%, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you're not an energy person, I just send up a little prayer or something. I know me and Pong, we're both energy people. We're sending as much energy as possible. Healing, everything else. It's definitely an important thing. Gotta care for those who have cared for you, and just be human, man. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. And so
goodness.
Yeah. So let me bring it back now to our way of doing things here. So it is 2022. Hell of a couple of weeks off, Steel. Lots of busyness going on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we had the wife's youngest was up here from California.
Right.
We had all of that going on. Obviously, family, both hers and mine. So lots and lots of stuff going on. Didn't actually get to game as much as I thought I was going to get to game during that time. But you know what? That's okay. Again, your life comes first.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I know. That's
the point.
So I got a story for you, Steel. I alluded to it in the green room.
I know you did.
You and I, again, people probably think that we are lying when you and I say, hey, we really didn't get a chance to talk a lot. Steel and I think we had one day of gaming together during those 2 weeks. We played Anvil and stuff. So Steel gets to catch up on some of my stories, and I get to catch up on his stories as much as you all do. Chad, it's great to see you, by the way. Awesome to see all these people coming back this week after vacation.
Love you all, man. Love you all.
Been knocking that rust off. It's weird being back in the chair talking about this stuff again. But anyways, I got a story. So, you know me, budget gamer, picked up a lot of stuff on sale because, of course, there was a lot of sales going on, right? So picked up a lot of stuff, and I've been all over the place. I'm going to tell you guys that much right now. But I got a rant. It's a rant because people already know about this kind of stuff. But let me tell you, this is ridiculous. So I pick up during GameStop sale right? Where if you bought 5 or more used games, you got them all for 50% off, right?
Okay.
And they had some big price like cuts on a lot of games, right? So I had not picked, I had played during the free to play days, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, right? The newer one from what, 3 years ago now, whatever it is. So I had played it, but I had not actually owned it, and I had not played through it a lot, right? And I wanted to play the single player and all that kind of stuff. Well, with that sale, it cost me $7.50. Now, anybody out here knows that Call of Duties, even when they go on sale, they're still expensive, right? At least from my perspective. Like the $20 is like as cheap as you usually get one of the good ones. And obviously Modern Warfare is considered one of the best over the last few years. So I'm like $7.50. Cool. I'm in. Even if I don't put time into the multiplayer, because I got a lot of stuff to play now, I'm going to play through the single player. Cool, right? I want the campaign. I want to play through it. A lot of people said it was actually a good campaign. Cool. I'm going to try this out. So with my bunch of games, I get Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So it shows up. I'm all excited, right? I'm all excited. So I go to install it. Look, I literally took almost 4 hours.
Oh, I think I know
out
what
of
you're
my
say.
time.
Go ahead.
Trying to get Modern Warfare to work from the disc. I had no idea. And chat, let me know if any of you own Modern Warfare on disc for Xbox. Okay. This is nuts. Okay. This is insane. I went online, and let me tell you what, for anybody who does not believe me, go online and look underneath the threads of people that have had issues with Modern Warfare installing from a disc to your Series console. Okay. For your Series X, obviously, because Series S doesn't even have one drive. This is utterly ridiculous. Activision, I'm sorry. I'm done with you guys. Number one, the fact that I have to have Warzone, the fact that I have to have Warzone installed.
To play the game.
To play the game is utterly ridiculous. Now, you and I played Warzone. Everybody here knows that I'm not a battle royale fan, whatever else, but you and I played Warzone, and I actually had a good time. I told you, hey, this is all right. Playing with friends, this is okay. It's nothing I would get serious about. This is okay.
Not Battlefield.
No, it's not Battlefield. But you know what?
Good time.
But for me to have that installed, number one, is it I don't even know how to. It is fucking ridiculous that I have to have that bloated, overweight piece of garbage on my hard drive to simply play the Modern Warfare campaign. Okay, it is or even the multiplayer. I don't care. I should not have to have that thing installed. Number two, I still can't get it to work. Still, I finally deleted this thing for the final time. I reinstalled this game 4 times. Go online, look up look up the issues with Modern Warfare installing from a disc to a Series console. Look at the actual official explanations and workarounds from Microsoft on their actual underneath in their. Look, I tried every single one of those ways to try to get it to work.
It wouldn't.
And then even underneath Microsoft's, underneath the official problems page, forum, whatever you want to call it, forum, I guess you should probably call it, underneath their forum, one of their reps actually said, if none of these things work, contact Activision. I'm done, man.
Yeah, right.
I'm done. Yeah. Look, you have to supposedly unplug your Series console for 3 minutes after deleting the entire thing, after deleting the cache. Did that. There's another setup that they stated to try, which you change your IP addresses.
Like, come on, man.
Did that. I did all. Steel, I was so mad. I did all of this. 4 installs, uninstalls, reinstalls later. I'm done. I'm done. I can't believe it. It will not recognize that I own Modern Warfare, even though the disc is in my Series X. It will not recognize I can't start multiplayer. I can't start the campaign. I can't do anything. It says, please install missing packet. Look, that's it, man. That's it. I'm not buying another Call of Duty. I'm not buying another Call of Duty until you get rid of this Warzone stuff. I wasn't planning on buying. Well, actually, you know what? I did say I was going to buy Vanguard at some point once it was on sale because I did want to play through the campaign. Not doing it. You're not getting my money. You're not going to get my money used. Nobody's getting my money at this point because I'm done. This is ridiculous. This is the problem that everybody has. And with the fact that we are just buying a license at this point, and for the vast majority of games, there is no issue. There is no issue.
100%, especially with discs, typically.
Right. Typically, for the vast majority of games, zero issues with putting the disc in, downloading the game. It's digital. It is what it is. So be it. But you make me do all this. And again, thank God I don't have caps here on my internet. Thank God.
I would have been, if I were you, Pong.
Yep.
Because I have caps.
Yes.
And I don't have a way to pay for a little bit more or to have unlimited. Oh, I would have been 38. I would have been extremely 38.
Oh, yeah.
Because I get charged $50 for every 10 gigs I go over.
Yep.
Oh, exactly. My God. 4 downloads.
Yep.
That's at least almost 600 gigs worth of content that that I would have had to download. Oh, wow.
That's POS crazy. Disc is going right back online, and I am reselling that bitch because F you Activision. I am done with this bullshit. I cannot believe it. Like, again, even Cold War, which I bought digitally, right? I that was my game. I hadn't bought a Call of Duty in a while since World War II. When I bought Cold War, it had issues. I had to reinstall, uninstall, reinstall again, but it did work, right? So I was like, all right, fine, whatever, issues. This thing right here, this is a tipping point. I'm done. They aren't getting my money. You guys can all hold me to it. You can all hold me to it. Today is January the 8th, 2022. Pong has stated that he will not buy another Call of Duty until they fix this garbage, until I don't have to have Warzone on my console attached to my Call of Duty. I'm not buying another Call of Duty. You're not getting any more money, Activision. Sorry. So that was my big story that you did not get to hear. This is freaking, I can't believe it, man. I'm still upset. I can't.
It's not surprising because it's not the first time. I can't tell you how many times with this most recent Modern Warfare that I've just had to reinstall the game because for whatever reason I couldn't load up multiplayer.
Right.
There was an error. Oh, I can't find a packet. And Dreadpool, I do hear you. Hey, going to the hard drive storage managed game. It does not matter. Even doing that.
Get it.
Even doing that, I can tell you myself, digitally, I've had to reinstall the game several times in order for it to fix itself. So I can believe it.
Nope. So other than that, all right. So now my rant's out of the way. Call of Duty's dead to me forever. Don't care until you guys fix your garbage over there, Activision. All your garbage, fix it. Look, played a ton of stuff. I won NBA 2K22 right before Christmas, which Steel. So I've been back on that.
I knew you were. You said.
Look,
what's funny about that?
Steel.
What's funny about that is I teased Pong about that. I was like, "Oh, so Pong, you gonna get 2K?" And he was like, "No, I'm not gonna get it unless I win it again." I'll probably play it again for sure. And like before you know it, before the end of the year, he fucking wins it again. And it's a top of the line edition. I'm like, oh my
anniversary edition.
Oh my God, Paul.
So I did win that, but Steel, I have not spent a dime.
Okay.
I have not spent a dime on my team yet.
That's good. He said
I did put yet in there just in case. But let me tell you something about that too. People aren't wrong. The people who play 2K 2020 or 22, like dealer and stuff, the complaints are real. Like when they showed that thing off, I thought they had actually improved the game. That game has taken a step back from 21. So anybody out there interested in 2022, they have definitely made some big unforced errors when it comes to the play style of the game.
Oh, wow.
It right now. Look, God, I did not plan. Well, I planned on having a rant this morning, but I didn't plan on going multiple rants. Look, if I've got my team and it's set up and I'm a 90 overall, right? And everybody who knows, I don't play online because the online is crap. The online is shit. I tried it once more just to see, but it's shit. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how there's even a community around NBA 2K and they're online. It is almost, look, the Dreamcast version was almost better than this shit. Okay. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But so everybody who knows, I like playing against, I play my team, but I play the domination mode, right? So the computer's set up, there's different levels of the domination. And you got to play against each team. And I play on all-star difficulty because that's where you get your most rewards, all that kind of stuff, right? So I'm playing on the hardest difficulty allowed, blah, blah, blah. However, when their team has players that overall are probably rated right around an 89 or I'm sorry, 81 or so, 82, 83, because there's different levels, right? So as you go up, eventually you get to the point where you're playing against 99 overall teams, right? So, but when I have a team of my team right now built where my overall is 90 and I'm playing against an 81 team, the fact that my players are downgraded or their players are upgraded, depending on how you want to look at it during the game, let's say I got Jordan, right? Running. Right. His speed is like a 94. I was
going to say something, crazy.
Right? And I'm playing against a team with a shooting guard who is defending me with a speed of 85,
They're not
84.
Jordan.
If you're going to have the AI stick to me like glue on a breakaway, there's an issue. If I can't go blow by him, I should be blowing out teams, which I eventually do, but I should be blowing them out in a certain fashion. My players should be that much better than the computer's players, right? That rating, AI should allow me. And in NBA 2K21, it did. So I have to play differently now, and it's fine. I can still beat these teams handily, most of them. However, it's not fun, right? It's not fun. On a breakaway, I should have a clear path to the basket. I should be dunking the shit out of that ball. No. AI sticks to me like glue, winds up making it so I don't have a breakaway anymore. Okay, that's not fun. Again, if I'm playing against a high-level team with Hall of Fame players, okay, that's one thing. I'm playing against scrubs, and they're sticking to me like glue on Jordan. No, that makes the game not fun, okay? I understand why you guys do it. I understand that you want to create this sense of challenge no matter what you're doing so that you spend more money. In my team, I get all your little tricks. And let me tell you something else. They added a card grading system, Steel.
Oh my God.
So not only are you buying fake digital cards for my team,
also great,
right? But now you can spend my team money and get them upgraded with a grading system on a card that you're going to lose when the next iteration comes out, dude. 2K has no shame.
No,
Zero.
They don't.
Zero shame. I could not believe it when I saw that. So NBA 2K22 has been on my docket. Jump back into the Outer Worlds, as you know, Steel. I went full. I got a bug up my ass and deleted my old save because I did not remember where I was. And I said, screw it. I'm going to start the Outer Worlds fresh. Here's what I say about that. I know I've been rambling, but look, I got a lot to say. It's been 2 weeks, man. Okay, I'm pent up. Outer Worlds, Obsidian. You remember why you consider them some of the best storytellers of all time when you go back and play one of their games.
Mm-hmm.
You forget sometimes because we're not playing their games constantly, but to go back to the Outer Worlds, and I deleted a save of about 20 hours or so on Outer Worlds.
Okay.
I deleted that save and started from scratch. You go back to one of those games like I talked about when I jump back into Skyrim again, and you remember all the reasons why Bethesda is so great. Same thing happens here with Obsidian. I jump back into Outer Worlds, and damn, that game is so much fun. so well written. The sense of exploration, Steel, and that's my big thing with open worlds. Give me a chance to, and Outer Worlds is smaller in size, scope wise, right? You're in contained areas versus a Skyrim where you can basically go anywhere, right? So it's set up differently because it's a smaller section. However, the sense that I can just go off and find something random and be able to find, loot and stuff randomly, or find a side mission randomly, or some scenario randomly. Obsidian is right up there with Bethesda in creating that feeling, and that's a huge thing for me. So jumping back into the Outer Worlds again has been awesome. Of course, I've played a million other games as well, but I've been rambling now for long enough. I got a lot of my stuff off my chest that I needed to. So thank you for listening to me, chat. It's been 2 weeks. It's awesome to see you all here. Thank you for tuning into Living Splitscreen episode 39. We are back. The boys are back. And if you could tell, we got some stuff to talk about. So Steel,
yeah, man,
where are we going, brother? What are we going to do here? I suppose I probably should bring up my upcoming games. So you talk while I do that. And
we gotta do the upcoming game segment. And I actually had an idea last night, one of those epiphany situations to where it probably just should have been something that we've been doing. But I think what I'm going to end up doing, and I may not do it with this episode or whenever I get a chance to, I'm going to end up separating out. Now, we're still going to do it part of the show and everything. But I think afterwards, I'm going to start separating the upcoming game segment and the Disney and gaming segment out to kind of be their own little videos. So that way people can have, on a week-to-week basis, the people can have that 10, 15-minute, 20-minute, however long we spend talking about those things, kind of a spectrum for people for like an expectation kind of thing. We drop it on a Saturday, people have something to look into, and hopefully that helps us gain some more traction, right? This extra content that we could put out there. I'm even going to title it a little bit differently. That way it's kind of knocking out a couple birds with one stone, right? Not only are we doing it during the show for you all live, but then for anybody else who may not have a chance to listen to it live, maybe you don't want to listen to the whole show and get that upcoming game segment, even though we are doing, timestamps and everything now, at least the best we can. I think that would just help us get more traction, get a little bit more content out there. And it's just another way for us to just have consistent information out there. It's something we can also upload to Twitter that's a little bit shorter, and then people can get a kind of an idea of. I thought that would be a cool idea. So I wanted to take a shot, a jab at that whenever I get an opportunity. Just something I was thinking about.
Live on the air productions. Look at this. You get that behind the scenes look, chat.
Look,
into
man,
what we do here. Steel's just throwing curveballs at me right away.
I think, and this is what
I like
happens.
it though. I like the idea.
I think what makes podcasting so amazing to me is, especially with me and Pong, right? And it's not to take credence from anybody else, but I literally want you guys to understand, a lot of the times me and Pong do not have a chance to really get back in the background, have conversations, set up a set list and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. It's really spontaneous. And that's what kind of makes me love this portion of podcast for sure, is because it's not pre-planned. It's off the cuff. We're doing it off the dome. It's kind of like you're freestyling, but you're doing it in something that you're extremely passionate about. And that's just an amazing thing. And the fact that we click so well, that you guys love the content, that the energy is consistent, the passion, you can feel it. I just feel like those points are what makes podcasting unique. Because there's not really many other spaces that you would get that other than TV shows or anything else like that, or radio or anything like that. And let's be honest, in this day and era, we're gaming. I don't have the time to watch TV like that. So it's I'm gaming, I'm with family, I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. So it's just I love what we do here, man. And I just want to continue to try to build up our content, build up our audience, get that wider reach, and hopefully you all can also help us with that. Tell people, tell your friends about it, tell your mama about it, tell your girlfriend about it, tell your cousin about it. You can even tell your long lost dog about it. Maybe they'll listen. They might bark at us a little bit.
Well, look, while we're on that, Steel, look, 2022 is a big year for Steel and I. We got a goal. So we want to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of
please.
this year, man. I think that's a reasonable goal. I actually think we're probably underselling ourselves a little bit at 1,000. Yeah. But you know what? You guys got to help us too. And you guys can do that. You guys are all amazing. You guys support us each and every week, but 1,000 by the end of the year, I think we can pull that off, Steel, easy. And I think that that is something that we should probably shoot for. So please help us out. Please help us out.
And again, it's not for me. I guess the other side of it that also makes it unique for me is because me and Pong literally do this because we love doing it. It's not because we want to eventually get paid. Yeah, that'd be nice, of course, but that's not the main reasoning behind it. And I feel like that energy, that love, that dedication is a little bit, it's what makes it really different than anything else. And I can always support anybody who does it from the heart, speaks from the soul, knows what they stand for as not only as a consumer, but as a person. Because I take it a little bit deeper than that. I know we're kind of getting deep with y'all. Pong had some rants. Now I'm getting deep with y'all early in the show. It's 2022, y'all. It's been 2 weeks. We got to break it down for y'all.
I warned everybody, Steel. Look, every show I've been on this week, knocking the rust off. I said, look, Steel and I have been pent up for 2 weeks. So buckle up, right? We're going to have a lot to say. We're going to have a lot to say.
100%. So it's just like, I just want you guys to know, we love that you guys are here. We love doing it live. Hopefully we can get more traction on the back end. But overall, we do this out of the passion of our hearts because gaming is something that we deeply care about. It is not just pieces of plastic. I can get into another side tangent since Pong got into a few about Call of Duty and then 2K now. Excuse me, but I have to go into a little side tangent about before we get into the upcoming games, just to kind of give Pong a little bit of a break before we do that. We are not in a war. I don't know what in the fuck is wrong with you all. And I'm not talking about y'all in chat because y'all are amazing. I love y'all's opinions, so y'all always keep it open. But I do not get and will never understand and will not support anybody whose thought mentality is, Xbox needs to beat PlayStation. PlayStation needs to beat Xbox. Because if either one wins, then we're not going to get competition anymore. The whole reason why people love PlayStation the way that they do, one, because PlayStation's been around for a while doing this. Two, because they have competition. They're forced to. They can't just sit on their laurels and be like, oh yeah, mighty PlayStation. No, they're not Nintendo. And if we are going to have that conversation, the first words out of your mouth better be Nintendo. Because look, ladies and gentlemen, Nintendo's about to get me at the end of this month. And I'll be completely honest. That Pokemon Arceus has me intrigued. And it's more so, again, Nintendo.
Hey, are you still sick?
A little bit.
Okay. Okay.
But it's for real. But it's for real. It's for real, though, because, again, Nintendo does such a thing with nostalgia. Pokemon being in an open world setting to where I can actually run around, I throw the Pokeball, things like that is something that I've always wanted out of Pokemon. And the fact that they're actually doing it now, and I've seen gameplay, and I've seen, especially this most recent upload that they did explaining it and going over everything in the game, I'm like, oh man, I think I might have to, hey, don't tell my daughters, but I think I'm gonna have to borrow the Switch for a bit. You know what I'm saying? And really get some game time in, right? Because that's the power that they have on that. But again, just like with anything else, you got good titles, you're going to invest. There's always going to be something that'll pull you that way if you're interested in that. My overall point with this whole thing, though, with my rant right here is, again, we're not in a war. It's not about this side versus this side. It's not about whatever in that space, that narrow-minded thinking. Like, it's very narrow-minded. And I want us to be able to kind of pull away from that and have more open-ended conversations to say, all right, what can PlayStation do to be better? What can Xbox do to be better? What can Nintendo do to be better? And what can we do as a community to make sure that we speak out on these things to help them understand that, hey, this is what you need to do. These are some of the things that we would like to see, and let's help gaming grow, right? Because if not, And if y'all just want to set on who's going to be a winner and who's going to be a loser, like it's some fucking football team or whatever sports team that you're into, y'all going to be in for a rude awakening. And even sports teams have competition. Like you have to go through multitudes of different teams to get to the final championship. This industry doesn't work that way. There isn't, it's not PlayStation has to fight Xbox and then Xbox has to fight Tencent and then Tencent fights Amazon. It's not that way. It's everybody coming together as a collective to fight for your time. PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, the big three, the reason that they are the big three is because they get most of your time, especially in the gaming space. And the more that we can be on top of them and say, hey, you got to continue to do better. Hey, you got to do these. We want you to grow in these areas. Hey, Nintendo, I need you to have an achievement system. Hey, Nintendo, I need you to have better party systems. Hey, Nintendo. As long as we continue to stay on top of their heads about these things, that is the point of us being in a community. Not for us to war over, Xbox needs to beat PlayStation.
I'm okay if we want to say that we want to beat Tencent, though. I'm okay.
Okay, I mean, that's different. Tencent has some different things going on, and I'm not quite sure if I want to trust Tencent and what they're going to bring to our industry. It's the same thing how people feel about NFTs. Hey, and we talked about that on our last episode if you didn't check that out. But yeah, I just wanted to go on a little side tangent there because that really bothered me. I saw somebody write that last night, say, hey, Xbox just needs to obliterate PlayStation. And I'm like, for what? If that competition wasn't there, we wouldn't have what we have now. We wouldn't have a Series X. You wouldn't have your PlayStation 5. You wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they would have reiterated, but it may not have been exactly what it is now. So,
I applaud you for that, Steel. Again, I caught your tweet last night, and again, as we talk about here, Steel, the important thing is what Steel's bringing up here is that it's not one side or the other. No matter what your preferred console platform, whatever it is, right? It's not about that, right? It's about the industry as a whole growing, and we need everybody involved to be healthy when it comes to business side of things, because that's what we're seeing right now. When Steele and I talk about the golden age of gaming and talking about this to be the best time ever to be a gamer, there's a reason for that, and it's because at the end of the day, this is a business, and there's more money flooding into this industry now than there ever has been before. There's more talent coming into this industry than there ever has been before. And that's on all sides. Okay. That's not just one side. We had one main platform right now, right? It could kind of suck because there's no motivation to push the industry forward. Right now, what we're seeing is because that there has been competition, because the 360 dominated the PS3 for most of that generation. Numbers aside, at the end of the generation, again, we kind of all know what happened there, but that pushed Sony to come out with the PS4. They saw Microsoft stumble out the gate with some bad talk out the gate, right? They did not give a good message when they presented the Xbox One. What did PlayStation do? They went, whoa. Even if they were planning on doing the exact same kind of thing, which they were, they backed off and said, whoa, okay, nobody likes this. Okay, we're going to change this. And they came from a different direction, dominated last generation, right? Mm-hmm. Dominated it. Well, guess what? When Xbox decided to stick around in the game, when Phil took over and decided to introduce Game Pass and say, hey, you know what? We're going to still be here. We're still going to compete in this space because we think we have something to offer it. And they changed their whole philosophy around in the middle of last generation. And all those pieces fell into place to start off our current gen right now with the Xbox Series console. Guess what? That's all pushed the industry forward. And again, Nintendo doing their own thing in their own pond is a part of that. Even if they aren't pushing the industry, they are in their own ways, because obviously they have proven that the mobile market is a huge piece of this industry. And Xbox looked over there and said, hey, look what Nintendo's got going on. A lot of people in other countries like to play mobile. Mm-hmm. We see the mobile number. We see the cell phone numbers. We see everybody playing on their tablets. Guess what? We're going to create, we're going to make a ecosystem that is friendly, that is accessible to those people as well. All of this is hand in hand. And without all these different players playing right now, it would not be the same that we're getting, right? It's pushing everybody to try to do something different. Now we see Sony looking to create their own version of Game Pass. Again, that's a discussion we've had here. It's not going to be one for one, but they're looking in that direction. Why? Because they see the success that Xbox is having. All of it is hand in hand. It's one big circle of life, right? As the Lion King taught us, right?
Yeah.
It's one big circle. And we need all these players to be healthy. So again, it's not one side or the other. We can, again, there's toxicity all over the place, right? There, you can jump into a Nintendo chat and find toxicity. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There's some diehard Nintendo fans that are just as bad as what we see from Sony 100%. Fans and Xbox fans, right?
Either side. Mm-hmm.
So again, it's and of course we're not even talking about the PC Master Race here either, right? So
and they're the worst.
So we've got all these different people, and Steel and I understand the concept, right? Of having your favorite platform, right?
Yeah,
that's okay. We have our favorite sports teams. There's toxicity in sports, toxicity everywhere in life, but that does not mean it has to be there for the good of the industry. In fact, it's a negative for the industry because when new people try to jump into the community, and that's what they see out the gate, it gives the wrong impression because at the end of the day, this is a hobby. This is a fun hobby. This is games. This is, again, originally an industry that was built upon little kids, okay, and their entertainment. Just because we all grew up and the industry grew up with us, and now it's an acceptable mass kind of okay to play games as an adult, and there's still some stigmas against that, does not mean that we have to fight like children and throw out do all this garbage, right? Act like we're still back when we were 5 years old. My console's better than your console. Yeah, it sucks.
Especially when the average age of the gamer is 30 years old.
Correct.
If you're a modern day gamer.
So again, let's raise up the adult voices in this community, and let's, if people want to be like kids, it's time to put them in the corner on timeout and let them sit over there and cry by themselves for a while. Anybody who has had kids know that there's just times when you got to let your kid be by themselves and cry in the corner and not give them that attention that they're asking for, because eventually they stop crying and come back. And then they are more reasonable at that point, right? That's how this works. But again, Steel was absolutely correct in calling it out last night on Twitter and saying, why are you acting this way? This is not a war, okay? This is video games, and we need everybody involved to be healthy. We need everybody involved to be successful. That makes everything better for everybody, including us gamers. That's why we're in the golden age of gaming right now. So good for you, Steel.
Ladies and gentlemen, and there's nothing like somebody with 16 followers saying, hey, writing underneath my post when I said, hey, why do they have to defeat anyone? We just need healthy competition. Writing back to me, and I'm not going to put their name out there. It's kind of irrelevant. But saying that, well, considering Xbox isn't in league with gaming giants Nintendo and PlayStation, it's impossible. Xbox is a third party now. Their competition is EA and Ubisoft. That's how irrelevant Xbox is. You know what, good sir? You know what I want to tell you for the good sir that may be listening? You do not know what the fuck you're talking about.
Correct.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
You can't argue with ignorance.
That statement right there, for you to say that Xbox is a competition with EA and Ubisoft, who is actually, hey, EA and Ubisoft are wanting to be part of Xbox. Oh, wow. Anyway, but we're going to leave that alone because that's going to go down another deep rabbit hole that we don't need to go down. And we got to give you guys the upcoming games because there's some exciting games that are coming in January, especially with these weeks coming up, going into February. So just keep that in mind. Y'all stay godly out there. Definitely understand the bigger mission. Take that RTS view, like kind of what me and Pong were talking about. And let's just keep everything healthy. Let's see that growth continue to happen. And let's get into these upcoming upcoming games.
There's really nothing, Steel.
So
again, we're still in dead zone unless somebody else can tell me something that's upcoming. Really, there's not. So this week, week of the 10th, Monster Hunter Rise is coming to PC January 12th. And then we've got Astroneer, which has been out for a while.
I wasn't expecting Monster Hunter Rise to come to PC.
Why?
I don't know. I thought it was going to come to like other consoles first.
Well, I mean, eventually maybe.
I can understand why, but I just wasn't expecting that. Like, I'm gonna have to give Monster Hunter Rise a try, see what's going on with that, see how I'm feeling about it.
Yep,
I mean, I love Monster Hunter World. I know it's not going to be World, but I guess we'll end up saying.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So it's coming to PC January 12th. Astroneer again coming to Switch. Astroneer has been out for a while on other systems. It is making its way over. I actually played that game. It's kind of a fun game to fool around with for a little bit. Nothing big, obviously. It's just a fun, cool little title. And then we've got God of War coming to PC this week, Steel. Are you gonna jump into it again?
I am more than likely going to jump into it again. I do want to say, I think on God of War, I might have put myself in a bad spot because I did put it on the hardest difficulty in the game at the time. And
of course you did. Of course you did.
It just wasn't like I was having a good time with it, but I was spending a lot more time in areas and in a game that I just necessarily never cared for like that. God of War as an IP has never been like a main attraction for me. Right. Like I'm into the mythology and everything else, and I love what Kratos represents and everything else, and I love the story that they have there. It just never has hit for me the same as it has like other games have for me. So I do want to, and again, that was playing in a 30 FPS on a PlayStation 4. So playing in a 60 FPS, I might have a completely different experience now. Having it on PC, updated graphics, everything else that they're bringing in, I think it might end up being a good time. And I definitely want to give it its fair shake. And if anything, to at least record some gameplay for you all. But I do want to beat it because I know a lot of people say, oh, it's a great game, to at least have that perspective on it. Kind of like what I'm doing with Horizon Zero Dawn right now. But it's really going to depend on where I'm at in the space, right? If I end up grouping up with people on Halo Infinite, I might not be able to play through it like that because I still need to play Horizon Zero Dawn, which I can't get through because I'm also playing a multiplayer game at the same time, and that's always going to take precedent over any single player game for me. So, I'm excited.
You're excited for it.
Yeah,
I mean, do you think so? Now that you had your experience up front, though, right, and you kind of got it down, do you think if you try it again on PC, do you think it will change the way you play, or do you think you will have a better experience now knowing what you know?
Knowing what I know as far as just the game overall, or like
just the game overall, because you got the feel at the hardest level, right?
Right.
Do you think you'll go back to it at the hardest level, or do you think you'll knock it down one to try to have more of an enjoyable experience? I'm just curious.
I'm definitely gonna knock it down one just because on that there are some games that it's like Gears of War, right? Gears of War on the same. There's a reason they don't give it to you from the beginning. It's not an enjoyable experience that first time running through the game. It's not. Hardcore, I'm always going to recommend to anybody, hey, play Gears of War on hardcore, and then and that's going to be a good experience for you just to have that overall feel. God of War, I feel like, and there's other games that do that same thing. I think God of War is in that same vein. From other people that I have spoken with, that have also said, I've told them, hey, I was playing on the hardest difficulty, and I just kind of put the game down after a while just because I wasn't that entertained by it. They were like, damn, man, you played on the hardest difficulty? Even I couldn't fucking do that. And these are people who love these games, right? Right. And they're like, oh, I played like 2 difficulties down from that, and I thought that was difficult. And I was like, oh, whatever. But yeah, so I've talked to multiple different people, and even they have said, yeah, the difficulty spike. As far as like the hardest difficulty in God of War is kind of like extreme. And I just don't care enough for story-driven games that give me all the difficulty settings to really put myself in this. Like, I still want to play on the hardest difficulty, but I'll probably just drop it down one so that I can feel a little bit more comfortable and just get through the story. Because I still wanted to offer me a challenge, but and it's only a me thing, because I could just play the game on normal and just be fine.
Right.
But then.
Right.
For me, I feel like I've cheated myself, and that's just a me thing, right? So I think this time I'm gonna go through it, turn it down a little bit. I think the other thing that's gonna make a huge difference is that, because I've always been able to tell the difference between 30 and 60, I've always been able to visibly see it. Now, when I'm consistently on console, especially back in the day, it was a little bit more kind of like how it was for everyone. You didn't notice it was as jarring until you experienced it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So when I was consistently on console, when I was consistently playing Xbox and everything, it's like, you get used to it and you don't really notice it anymore. But it's still something there saying something feels off. And it was the same thing with that. I could tell it felt slow, it felt sluggish, and I feel like at 60 FPS, 120 FPS, whatever the case may be, with it coming to PC, it's going to be more of an enjoyable experience, and that may entice me enough to get in there and beat it. Because I think I only got up to the point in God of War to right after you fight the first dude. It was kind of a little bit after that. You fight the first big troll looking dude with the pillar on his arm, and I beat his ass. And I'm doing it on the hardest difficulty. It only took me about 3 tries to do that, but I left off around there, and I just never went back. So,
okay. All right.
But yeah,
cool.
I'm gonna give it a shot this time around and see if I can get through it. So,
okay. All right. Cool. I will also mention this, Steel, before we get off upcoming games this week, for Game Pass, for all of our Xbox people out there. If you are in Game Pass, Spelunky 2 comes out on January 13th, which is Spelunky 1. If you're into Spelunky, awesome games. I do enjoy Spelunky. I probably will hop into Spelunky 2 a little bit here and there. And then the Anacrucius game comes out on January 13th. For anybody who forgot, Anacrucius is that retro futuristic type first-person 4-player cooperative first-person shooter on that spaceship that we saw multiple times. If you don't remember, again, go look it up. It has some interesting art to it. I like it. I like the style. Again, it's going to have to be something special for it to grab an audience when it comes to that 4-player cooperative first-person shooter aspect. Those cooperative shooters are hit and miss, Steel, as we well know.
Yeah.
Especially with all the games available. You really got to do something different. And we'll talk a little bit about that with Extraction as well when we get to Ubisoft. But again, this game looks interesting enough. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to download it, try it out, and see how it looks. So again, Anacrucius, January 13th. And then I'll quickly mention for anybody who has not seen the PlayStation Plus new games this month is Persona 5 Strikers, Dirt 5, and also a Deep Rock Galactic, which is another cooperative first-person multiplayer game that if you're over on PlayStation, hey, check out Deep Rock with a couple friends. It's actually it's a cool game. It's a cool little game. It's got a decent community around it. A lot of people actually really enjoy that game and have stuck with it, especially on PC side of things. So go check out Deep Rock Galactic. Pretty cool little game there too as well. But those are the 3 games for PlayStation Plus this month as well. So I just want to get those out of the way. So Steel, we are already an hour. Hour in.
We have some rants. I mean, again, we got to start the year off strong. Again, this is about gaming. It's about the industry. It's about giving you guys entertainment too, right? And just giving you that organic authenticity that only we can bring you.
You gotta shout out some of the people in the chat. Crazy Louis going to take a shower.
He's always taking a shower, man.
Did you see? I don't know if you were watching Xbox Ultimate last night, Steel, or not, but yes. I asked him in chat.
I did see that.
I said, Crazy.
He was.
And I asked him in chat. I go, Crazy, are you showered and ready? And the next thing I know, I got a post on Twitter of Crazy Louis listening to Xbox Ultimate in the shower. The man is a nut. Hey, shout out to you, Crazy.
Hey, he has to take at least 6 hours a day. I'm just saying. And Doom Reaper, I have to agree with you. The only gal for me is Gears of War. Gears of War is going to always be for me the true GOW. nothing touches that for me, to be completely honest. And Uncharted isn't even up there for me. Like, I know a lot of people say, like, I had some people in the past ask me, well, why didn't you get to play Uncharted? I was playing Gears of War. That's why.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was playing Halo. That's why. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing with these other games. That's why. It didn't get me. You didn't do enough for me for me to get pulled that way. So I definitely have to agree with you on that one, Doom Reaper. Gears of War is definitely up there as far as like my top 3 IPs of all time. Who else we got in here? Doom Reaper, Crazy Louie Gaming, only on Xbox, Splendiferous, ATL, Shizno Elite, The Sly Crow. Hey, man, one thing I always appreciate about you, Crow, is you're always gaming, man, and you're always keeping us updated with what you got playing and what kind of experiences that you're having. I love seeing you post about those things on Twitter and everything. It's always good information to see that people are actually gaming and not just living on Twitter. I think I said shout out to Shizno. Ham Solo 05 Gaming. Shout out to you, my brother. Stubbs. Wandering Dutch. Speaking of Wandering Dutch, shout out to the Midweek Mix-Up Collective for continuing just to be in a great selection of gentlemen and also just supporting everything that we do here and allowing us to continuously be who we are. Rescue Squad Culp, what's going on? Z Black Rider, what's shaking, my guy? Vic the Click, what's going on? Awful Grim Bones, what's up, man? Retro Nerd, he's always in here, man. Yep. Who else we got in here? Going through the list. Jigga J. What's going on?
Of course. What's going on, Jigga J?
Smitty Smith. He has to bring us back to church. Luckily, he hasn't hit us with the Book of X just yet, but I would be expecting
Smitty.
it. Maybe he's waiting for us to get to 1,000 before he really hits us upside the head with the Book of X. Then who else we got in here? We got Mr. Kima. What's going on, my guy? Mike Suko. What's up, man? Nam Omar. What's going on? Who else we got in here, ladies and gentlemen? Joe Dunmore. Hey, Joe, I'm feeling good out here. He always asks, still, how do you feel? I'm doing well, man. Dan the Man Cunningham. What's going on, man? Love you, man. 6
layers in the house. You get Stubbs already, too?
Yeah, I do believe I did get Stubbs.
You get Stubbs? Yeah, okay.
If I didn't, Stubbs, then shout out to you, Stubbs.
Shout out to Stubbs. Hey, look, Stubbs, we might get into some WB acquisition just for you, all right?
Yeah, just
some
for
acquisition talk just for you.
I know
you love it so much.
I know how much you... Matter of fact, I think we might just bring that as a regular occurrence on Living Splitscreen, where every Saturday, we're just going to talk about a random acquisition. And it may or may not ever happen, but we're going to do it just for you, Stubbs. We're teasing you. We're teasing you. Tool Man 55, what's going on? Country Gentleman, again, doing nothing but being a gentleman out there. He's the modern day Superman in these Twitter streets, getting you those gift codes, and making sure that you're supplied as far as your gamer needs can be. Dreadpool, what's going on? Good to see you. Check out Breaking Bread with Dread. Amazing content. I've actually done an episode with him. Amazing, man. Definitely got to sit down with him again at some point. BMG, what's going on? Ballman Gaming. I am a baldy myself, so I definitely appreciate that. Tony Grasso, what's going on? Who else we got in here? I'm going all the way through the list because I got to shout out all the beautiful people. Maybe one day will be too big and it'll take me 3 hours to run through everybody who's in the chat. Y'all just be having so much good conversation in here that scrolling won't be enough. And I'll just have to say, hey, if you're here, hit that like button, share us out, tell your mama about us, and then tell us that you're here in chat. Caitlin, what's going on? Retro Nerd, what's popping? It looks like it was pretty much it. It's not letting me go back any further than that. If you are here currently, UK Daz!
Yeah,
the one-handed stick himself.
Dazzy, baby. What's going on?
What's going on? You beautiful people. Always love the energy that you guys bring here. You always have consistent conversation. That's one of the most, again, people say this, oh, we got the most amazing chat. Nah, man, like y'all are 100% solid. You are really having dedicated conversations in here, no matter what topic that we're having. And I just find that it's such an amazing thing. It adds to what we have going on. A lot of the time we incorporate things that you guys say into the show. And I just find that to be an amazing thing. So with that being said though, Pong,
yeah,
we finally got to talk about something, right? We got to talk about
good
something.
news is there's lots to talk about, Steel.
That is a fact. And there's quite a few things we could talk about. There's PlayStation VR 2. There's The Last of Us multiplayer. Ben Studio, Days Gone, not getting their second chance. And maybe not even knowing how much they're really even selling, which could be leading credence to a bigger problem that's going on in the industry. We could go ahead and get into the Ubisoft talks with Rainbow Six Extraction. Or maybe even talk about Final Fantasy being an exclusive to Sony and the kind of implementations that has on the console scene overall. How you feeling, man? Where do you think the lords are taking us at this moment?
Only on Xbox really wants to talk about WB. He's always
talk about WB.
Acquisition talk. Where we're not going to do that.
All right, so Gotham Knights. It's going to come day one to Game Pass. WB. We're going to sell it for about $30 billion. Microsoft's going to pay cash money back up the bricks. No, I'm playing. Let me stop.
Well, obviously, social media had a back and forth, right? So WB obviously responded to Xbox Game Pass.
Yes,
so that means the acquisition is happening next week. Still, it's locked, locked in.
That's exactly what it means. That's hilarious.
No, that's fun stuff. It's fun stuff.
Yeah,
look, Steel, let's talk about. Hey, you know what? Let's go with this since it's dealer's choice. Let's get you going a little bit here.
Okay.
Although you've been going, but let's get your juices flowing. Let's go The Last of Us. And let's talk about some of the talk that's going around. Now they've, we're hearing that there's, obviously for a while that we were going to get a director's cut,
right.
Or some kind of, update to whatever you want to call it to The Last of Us or The Last of Us 2. I mean, they've already done the original one as a remake. Could they bundle everything together? And then of course we've got the multiplayer aspect called Factions, which has been something you, sir, were big into
100%
and was bigger than people think over on the PlayStation side. It was actually a first party multiplayer.
Amazing.
That PlayStation fans, a real diehard community got behind and played a lot of Factions. I was not one of those, even though I was on PlayStation 4 at the time. But for you, sir, this has been something that's been promised for a long time. This is something that they were supposed to have
2 years
when The Last of Us 2 came out. And they quietly put it in the closet and made it disappear and kind of hoped that everybody forget about it. And again, it's not gigantic. We're not talking about a Halo type multiplayer here, but we're talking about an extremely passionate group of fans who absolutely love Factions. So we've been hearing this talk now that we're going to maybe get this all bundled together when they come out with The Last of Us 2 director's cut or, whatever they're going to do in the future. But then there was also some smoke this week that Factions may come out as a free to play model with monetization. Of course. What are your thoughts, sir? Where are you at with this? I know you've been calling for it. I know you've been waiting on it. You've been reminding Sony, good old Jim, Herman, all of the players over there that, hey, Factions was promised. It's still not here. Where's my Factions? So what's going on, Steel? What do you got? Okay,
so a little bit of backstory. And I'm pulling this from GameRant.com, so definitely check them out. They do end up writing some good articles out that way, and this is going to be done by Patrick Young. And this was published about a few days ago. And this is just to give you some context behind what they're doing with Factions, because the rumor right now is that The Last of Us 2 multiplayer could be free to play and even include microtransactions. Wow, what a surprise! But
shocking.
Last of Us, yeah, shocking for real. The Last of Us 2's multiplayer was a highly wanted but sadly missing piece from the game's original 2020 launch. Hey, what year are we in, Pong? Can you remind me?
We are now in 2022, sir.
Yep.
Yep.
And they made some promises to say that they was going to be there too. But anyway, With fans eager to learn more about the project, although nothing is confirmed, a new job listing at Naughty Dog may hint The Last of Us 2's multiplayer being free to play. While The Last of Us would receive tremendous acclaim for its narrative-driven adventure, which I damn sure do not care about because there is no multiplayer. I'm going to get into that in a minute. Many gravitated towards the game's clever multiplayer experience, Factions. The reason I even invested in the first game in the first point. I played The Last of Us because I saw my cousin playing multiplayer, and I asked him, damn, man, what game is that? He said, oh, this is The Last of Us, man. This little game I was telling you about. I was playing a little story and everything. I was like, damn, they had a multiplayer? It was like, yeah, this shit is fire. You know what I did? That very next week, I bought a PlayStation 4. Just to make, no, that was PlayStation 3 at the time, sorry. PlayStation 3 to make sure that I could play that game when it released. And I will tell you, because of the multiplayer, I played the campaign, and I would tell you that that story in that first game is definitely a GOAT-worthy story. Some of the best story content, especially for a zombie kind of game, kind of apocalyptic kind of world thing going on. They did very well. Had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. So I want people to understand the reason I'm giving you these pretenses and everything is because I want you to understand how much I loved and I cared and I liked that first game. But as I stated here before, at that time, I knew they were going to come out. The game was too good for them not to have come out with another game. I said, if they make a Last of Us 2, especially with the way that they ended the first game, if they make a Last of Us 2 and there is not a multiplayer, I will not buy the game. And guess what? I haven't bought it. I've had a PlayStation 4. I've had a chance to play the game. I didn't buy it because it didn't have multiplayer. That's just me. But anyway, it was a fittingly gritty spin on performance-based multiplayer, and with the announcement of Last of Us 2, many players were excited simply to see what the new form of Factions would take on. Unfortunately, though, the mode didn't launch with the game, and with very little actually being known about The Last of Us 2's multiplayer besides the fact that it is in development. So, with this news and now the rumors of it coming out to be potentially free to play, it opens up a big can of worms for me. Reason being is because the conversation is always so one-sided about, oh, some of these games are so great and they can tell stories and, oh, it's a movie experience. Ooh, I got Spider-Man. Ooh, I got Ratchet and Clank. Ooh, I got all these other games that I'm never will take anything away from because everybody has their individual experience and what they like out of gaming. Last of Us 2, if I can recall correctly, during the time that they were originally planning to release the game, Factions was supposed to release with Part 2. As we see, it didn't. And 2 years later, there's still no semblance, there's no trailer, there's no date, nothing. Still about the other half of this game being released. The biggest reason I have a problem with this is because I see thousands of people complaining about Halo everywhere about it missing content. But when other games miss content, it's not that big of a deal because it has, the story mode was, it was good. And even that's been debatable. That's kind of been up in arms. But MetaWho says, oh, the game's great. So, the biggest issue for me is I just feel like, and again, we're going to get the game. It's going to come out at some point, right? So it's like I can only be but so, not necessarily greedy, but like so up in arms. Because it is what it is. The only thing that they're missing out on is me not investing. But who do they care? No. Oh, Steel's not playing the multiplayer. Oh, we need to make this game sooner. They don't care about that. They're going to release it whenever they're ready. My biggest thing is that I feel as though the multiplayer wasn't in the beginning, unless there was a different plan in place, which we obviously see because now they're wanting to resell you the game on PlayStation 5, and whether that's they're going to remaster the first game again. And if they do that and release factions with it, that's going to piss me off. Because it's like, are you fucking serious? So, because that's going to make me feel like, oh, all you did is remaster the original factions or remake the original factions and then put it in part of this bundle to save face. Now, is that what they're going to be doing? No. All the hiring and everything everything else that they've been doing, the development behind the scenes, I'm 100% sure that that's not what's happening. Knowing Sony, they want to make sure that they have a good product, make sure that it is enticing for the player. And with microtransactions being such a key point, they do want to, I feel like at some point during development, they may have pulled back and said, how can we make this something that is more, that can live on, right? That could be more of a service-based multiplayer. We can have people consistently coming in, because right now that is Sony's biggest weak point. They have the consumers, but they do not have the consistency from the consumers. There's not people constantly investing in the ecosystem, constantly being involved, and that's why I always lead on the side of Xbox having that more consistent ecosystem, at least where people are wanting to more and more invest in, where you have that more consistent player base more so than anything else, right? Yeah, you can have all the consoles in the world, but what does that matter if people are letting their console sit for X amount of time? You don't have people who are consistently playing this, and I'm not just talking about the hardcore gamer. So it's more so that is the reason why they pushed it back. It's just frustrating to me, because if that was the case, just come out and say that. Say, hey, we're looking to go a little bit of a different direction. We want to make this to be a something that we can invest in for X amount of time, or we can invest in for X amount of years, whatever the case may be, and at least let us know as the gamer that you are working on it. That, hey, this is kind of what your plan is, that transparency. Could I be asking for too much? Sure. Do they have to tell me anything? No. But with it being free to play, I just kind of feel like, for me, it takes away from what made the first game so great. Everybody likes to talk about complete packages, right? Oh, a complete package. Oh, the game wasn't complete. It's the biggest thing that I keep seeing about Halo, biggest example. Oh, it's not complete. Oh, it's good, but it's not complete. Okay, well, this other game wasn't complete either, and it got the best rating fucking of all time. It has the most debatable story that I've ever seen in any game. Like, it almost has more of a debatable story than Halo 5 does. And that's insane. And I'm not talking about old graphics and everything. No, I'm just talking about the story, just overall. But that's kind of my feelings on it. It's kind of off-putting to me, because I'm kind of in this limbo place, because I'm excited for it. I really want to play factions. I want to see what that updated system feels like. I want to be able to put my shiv on a stick and run up on somebody and just slam them in the back of the head and hear that crunch noise that it makes when you make that happen.
You're violent.
I am. Or pulling out the shiv and just running up on somebody and shaking them up real quick. It was those experiences what made faction really great, because it was not only about your skill, but it was also about outthinking the other player, using your resources. You were crafting on the go like you were in the story mode. I found that to be so unique, because there's not anything else like that specifically. Sure, you can say, oh, we got like Uncharted and we got this and we got that. And it's like, it's not this though. And that's what gets me the most frustrated about it, because it's like, if it's one thing that's going to get me to invest in that system into a PlayStation 5, it'll be this. There's a few other things that I'm starting to see now that are kind of really pulling my attention and what make me interested in. If it's free to play, that might be enough for me to invest. But at this point, I kind of also feel like there may be a play where they may also want to bring it to PC. as part of that whole movement. And that could have been something else that was part of that development side of it, where they could have said, hey, let's pull back. Well, not only do we want to make it more service-based, but we also want to see about potentially putting it on PC to reach a wider audience. Because I feel like that was the main thing the first game was kind of missing, is that not enough people either knew about it or it just didn't have enough reach for people. And I feel like that was an extreme inconvenience to the game itself, because the reason I feel the way that I feel about it kind of should demonstrate how integral I at least felt that component of the game was to the overall package. That's kind of my feelings on it. If it comes to PC, great. If it stays on PlayStation, great. Either way, that is going to give me a reason to invest in it if that is going to be the case. I know people say, oh, free-to-play games don't matter. We're walking into an era where, like me and Pong say all the time, as long as these games don't put out content where the cosmetics affect the actual gameplay, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do to make the most money out of this game, to maximize profits, whatever, cool. Do we need better systems? Yes. Halo is it's not it. That is not it. Now, did I buy the $20 Iron Man looking skin? You goddamn right I did. And I do not regret it. Not one little bit. And that's okay, because if it's worth investing in for you, you're going to invest. I just want Sony to give me a reason to invest in their ecosystem. And I've been waiting for Factions for 2 years at this point going on, so that I can jump into this story that's been so debatable for so many people. And not only that, just get that other side of that third-person gaming that I really love as far as multiplayer gaming goes. Pong, how do you feel about this whole faction situation? I know that you're not the biggest on the multiplayer side of things. You were a lone wolf for a long time. You've now really stepped into that multiplayer scene, hard body, really getting it in and everything more so. Yeah, you tend to downplay yourself because when you're consistent, you really be getting it in. But but no, how do you feel about it about this factions being delayed for so long and it being okay for a game like Last of Us, but not being okay for other games? And do you think this has any implementation on anything? Is there some like behind the scenes things that could have happened? Do you agree with me that maybe they pulled it to make it more service based? What do you think?
Yeah. I'll attack it from this point of view. Sony has an uphill battle that it's created for itself when it comes to first party multiplayer titles, because they focused so heavily on that third person narrative action driven style game and sold their customer base that they were giving them the premium experience with that. And they basically abandoned all of their multiplayer first party titles. Okay. They've now got an uphill battle because they understand, again, Steel, Sony is not stupid. It worked for last generation. But where the money is at nowadays is that multiplayer, games as a service type style in which you get reoccurring money, residual income, streams of cash, however you want to say it, coming in from a game that lasts longer than a one and done. And for all of you that want to argue, oh, I replay those games, that's great.
Cool. That's
great. That's great for you, but you still paid $60, $70 one time, and that's it. Okay. That works to a certain degree, but it's not going to get Sony to the promised land. Sony has to have some first party or second party deals, which we know they've started making. They do have some studios working on some stuff, and we're probably going to hear about some more multiplayer this year out of Sony exclusives. They have to have those streams of income coming in. And if they're going to try to start a service like Game Pass with Spartacus, they're going to have those games that have legs in there, because engagement is the new metric that we've been hearing about for the past 2 years, year and a half. That's because the industry has changed. That's because of the global market. That's because of the accessibility that we see. People, kids especially, Fortnite is accessible everywhere.
Yeah.
That's why it's so huge. Okay. You got to have those games in your belt. We talk about it all the time with Xbox. Why is Game Pass successful? Why will it be successful in the future? Is because of the diversity of games that are available, the diversity of experiences that people can have. Well, one of those big experiences you go back to after you finished a campaign in a game. What do you go back to?
Yep.
Sure, some people go back and play the campaign. Some people will increase the difficulty, do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Game, Game Plus, right? That became a big thing too, giving you that extra challenge, right? To go back into it again. However, that's not bringing you any more money. What's bringing you the money is the multiplayer. We've seen Halo do it. Now we can have arguments about whether Halo is pushing the boundaries as to what's acceptable as far as cost goes. However,
we can say that about Fortnite, Apex.
We could say
Call
it about
of Duty.
anything. We could say it about anything. Again, value is always in the eye of the beholder. It's always going to be up to the customer to determine whether or not a company has crossed that line. Okay. And if you're going to speak with your wallet, speak with your wallet. But if you're going to buy into it, you buy into it. Again, for me, myself, I can't say shit about Call of Duty as far as their microtransactions goes, because when Cold War came out, I spent $20 on anime gun skin and some little extras, right? So I didn't speak with my wallet, right? So I can sit there and say it's ridiculous, but at the end of the day, I bought into it. Okay. This is how this works. But Sony understands this concept. They're not dumb. They're changing their philosophy over there as well. We've heard rumors that they're going to bring back, different games. We've heard SOCOM could be coming back, which fantastic. I was a huge SOCOM player back in the day. Okay. Huge SOCOM player. Me and my buddies had all the mics. It was a experience that was only there, right? SOCOM was on a different level. And people forget because SOCOM's been gone for so long, right? So we've heard that. With factions specifically, and with the Last of Us 2 stuff, they broke their promise. Okay, they should be held accountable for it. However, because Sony set the expectations with not only their player base, but also with the media in general, which became accepted, that hey, we're the place you want to come to for those third-party narrative-driven action single-player experiences.
Right.
Everybody turns a blind eye when the multiplayer doesn't hit. With Halo, well, that expectation was set long ago that not only do you have a campaign, but you have a multiplayer, and both of those experiences have to be off the chart. And we saw what happened when 343 came out with either one being lackluster or the other being lackluster, and 4 and 5, they got demonized, they got tore down, they got criticized because it wasn't a complete game. Over on the Sony side, it's a blind eye. It's excused because the main focus is that single player experience. So if they want to create these streams of income, if they want to get back into the first party multiplayer section of things, they've got an uphill battle they've created for themselves. So I think Factions was pulled back because they did want to make it a complete experience. I also think that it would be very smart for them to go to the free-to-play model with Factions, because again, with Spartacus supposedly coming out this spring, we're only a couple months away here, 2-3 months. We're probably going to start hearing about this more officially. Again, everything we've heard is just a leak. Okay. So we don't have official details on what the service is going to look like, but they're going to have games to drop in there, Steel. They have to have games. Again, they're not going to do day and date, but if you come out with a free to play multiplayer like Factions, well, guess what? You throw that in that service and say, we got Factions. Okay. That's a feather in your cap when you're trying to launch a new service, right? You're going to have those things lined up. So I think Factions was specifically pulled back and said, hey, we're not going to have this just as a tack on. We're going to do something bigger with this thing. And we're going to try to get back into this multiplayer content, and Factions is going to lead the way for us, along with these deals that we've got working that over the past couple of years that we've kind of heard about. We're going to get back into this game again, pun intended. But Factions is going to be the king that starts it off. We're going to try to make this a big thing. We're going to try to really get our base, because we already have a big Last of Us fan base. We're going to try to make Factions kind of like I'm saying this again,
yeah,
you can't compare the two, but I'm saying we're trying to make Factions our Halo, right? We're going to try to do this thing right. And we're going to try to make this our big first foray into that space back again with that. So I think that that's why they did this. I know it's disappointing to you, disappointing to many others that it wasn't launched. Yes, the media should have called it out more, but again, Sony set those rules, right? Sony made their own rules with the media. They became the media darlings last generation. Good on them. That's part of business. They grab the mind share. They get it. They get to make those kind of gaffes and get excused from it. So, but I think Factions is going to come out. It's going to be big. They're going to try to do a lot with it. And they're going to try to establish themselves with it. And I think that that's, from Sony's standpoint, with the hill that they do have to climb, I think that's a great way to do it. You got to take one of your biggest names and do that. So I think that that's smart on their end to try to do this, even if it causes some of you a lot of frustration because it was promised to you so long ago, which is totally understandable. It just, from a business standpoint, I think Sony had to do it this way. So I think that's where they're going with this. Again, hopefully, all things being equal, like we just talked about, Steel, I hope they do get back into it. I hope they do bring back a SOCOM. I hope they do try to bring back a first-person shooter at some point, or make a new IP and try to jump back into this game, because that will just, again, create competition for everybody. And there's a lot right now, but we need Sony in there as well. So I think that's where they're going with it, Steel. I think that's where they're going with it. So,
I mean, I think, I don't know if, because I know they're re-releasing the Uncharted Legacy Collection, I believe it was going to be called. We're releasing it on PlayStation 5. That's supposed to be coming out it's supposed to be coming out here soon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be next month or 2 months. Next month.
And I know that it doesn't have any signs of it coming to PC, but it would be interesting to see if they bring the multiplayer with that.
Yeah.
To see if that may reinvigorate some things for them also. So I'm definitely interested in what Sony wants to do as far as stepping into this space. It is one of those things that I always have felt Sony's been kind of behind the ball on. And one of the main reasons why after the PlayStation 2, I kind of stopped investing into Sony. Unless I had an essential reason. Again, I'm not a single player gamer. I do enjoy single player games. It just, a lot of single player games have to do a lot for me to be enticed. And it's just like VR, right? VR, you still have to do a lot for me to even want to be enticed. So, and I just feel like it's unfortunate, but I mean, it is what it is. I just want to see, again, more competition and growth at some point for sure. So that's the main thing with that. All right, so that is that with Last of Us multiplayer being possibly free to play. Hopefully we get some announcements on that. I do want to at least, my expectation is to at least hear something from it here coming around E3 time, to where they can really get that ball rolling for them. Because other than Gran Turismo and Horizon, there's nothing else really that's been like written in stone for them. And Factions, along with them remastering a remaster of a remaster, may be one of those ways that they get people back enticed and everything.
On that note, Steel, I got a feeling about something, and I could be completely off base. Again, crystal balls are always hard to read. It's always hard to get attuned, but I just have this feeling with the way the industry is going right now, and with everything that's happened and how much Xbox has been dominating the news cycle. And I don't see an end to that, just because of sheer amount of content that they have coming. At any given day, they can drop news.
Yeah.
about something going on with them. So
Yeah.
with the state of the industry, with everything, how it's kind of changed, I have a sneaky feeling that 2022 sees the return of Sony to E3 this year.
Think so? Even digitally?
Yeah. I have a sneaking suspicion that Sony,
Oh,
Sony, yeah, again, I could be totally off base, right? This could be totally left field, just
yeah.
again,
I like it.
But I'm just thinking to myself, because Sony, again, is not stupid. Okay. Last generation, they had the ability to kick back and do whatever they wanted to do at any given moment for, for so many years. They had the ability to kind of ignore the competition because there really was no competition involved. Because again, let's be serious, Nintendo's in their own pond at the end of the day. So whatever they do over there does not really matter to a Sony or to an Xbox, right? Until they decide, until Nintendo comes out and says, hey, we're going to do a current gen system, standalone console, right? Until they make that decision and come out with that announcement, really whatever news they do only affects Nintendo. It does not really have an effect on Xbox or Sony. So because of that, Sony got the kickback last generation, and really marched to their own tune almost the entire generation. And so they got to get away from some expectations, and got to really just do their own thing. But now that Xbox is back in, and not just back in, we're talking about back in a huge, gigantic way. We're talking about grabbing the mind share back again. We're talking about creating waves throughout the industry with Game Pass, xCloud, with their first party acquisitions.
Yeah.
I think this is year Sony has to put themselves back into that same space and make sure that Xbox is not alone like it was last year at E3 grabbing headlines. That those people, at the Game Awards as well, that those millions of people that tune in, even when it's just digital, like we're going to have again this year, which we found out this week, ESA already announced it. And of course, shout out to Jeff Keighley. Never a man who misses an opportunity. Ready right there.
Summer Game Awards.
Summer Game Fest is back. Ready to announce.
I thought that was hilarious.
Whatever your thoughts about Jeff Keighley are, again, personally, the dude knows what he's doing. Okay. He knows. He's a smart man. He gets it. Okay. So to let those kind of moments pass by, I don't think Sony can afford it anymore. I really think that they have to try. They're not going to be able to do it. Again, I'm not saying unless they've got really something huge up their sleeve. Going back to the sheer amount of content and just newsworthy stuff that Xbox has going on, I don't think Sony can ever get back to the point where they dominate a news cycle. This is not going to be possible for them. But I think they have to bring themselves back into those spaces to make sure that they say, hey, it's not all Xbox guys and gals. It's also Sony, and we got some stuff going on here, especially if they're going to introduce new IP, if they're going to bring back old IP with fresh faces and all that kind of stuff. I really think that 2022 is the year where we see a return where Sony gets back to more of the standard style news spots, locations, whatever you want to say, and really gets back into that game again. I just have the sneaky suspicion that this is the year that we see Sony return to E3, that they have a bigger presence at Summer Game Fest, that they have a bigger presence at the Game Awards, all your typical spots where they really got away from. You got any thoughts, Steel? Am I crazy? Am I just off base?
I don't know if you're necessarily off base. I mean, if I take it again, I can only take Sony for at their word, and I mean, I can at least say that they are consistent about that. I think I don't know if they're gonna. I don't think they will. Just because that they stated that they're not gonna come back to E3.
It's fair, yeah. I mean, it's most likely
that they're just gonna do their own events and then kind of go from there because they feel like they don't need to. Again, I mean, Sony isn't the number one brand as far as hardware goes and everything, for no reason, especially for in this space. So could they? Sure, and I think they would get a lot of. I think they would get a lot of, not necessarily market share, because I mean they already have that, but they would get a lot of favor back if they ended up doing that, because right now it does come across, at least to me, that Sony doesn't care about the gamer that way. You know,
and they get a lot of kudos. The media is just waiting to give them kudos, right, so they definitely would get a lot of kudos.
Exactly. So it's one of those things to where you would think that they would want to do it just to save face, especially since it's digital. Oh, yeah, as long as it's a digital thing, yeah, we'll do that. But as far as like going to an actual E3, no, we're not going to do that. It just feels like because all the other big companies come out during E3 and Sony's the only one that really sits out, it puts them in a weird position as if, again, it comes across like they don't care.
Yeah, we saw Nintendo come back last year, right?
Exactly.
They were the first ones to pull themselves out, right? Back in the day.
So
and they actually came back.
Exactly. So, and again, E3, I know a lot of people say, oh, you know, E3 is not that big or whatever the case might be. And to be honest, E3 is when everybody's paying attention. That's the masses are looking at it. A lot of Jeff Grubb talked about it last night. Yesterday, I listened to it last night. That, like he said, around E3 is when they get their biggest influx of people coming in to look at their content.
Yeah, it's still Christmas for gamers and the 100%. Gaming at large. Yeah. Now,
can there be something else that steps in its place, like a Summer Game Awards or whoever? Yeah, of course. There could always be something better. Does it seem like E3 even knows how to host a show these days? No, it doesn't. It's like if you don't leave it up to the big companies to do it for them, they don't know what the hell is going on. It kind of comes across like they just had a space. And everybody else just filled in from there. They don't know how to actually,
especially digitally, right? It's more just E3 brand and then the companies themselves providing like everything. Like
exactly
how it goes. Yeah.
So it's more like they're doing E3 a favor than E3 doing them a favor.
Correct.
But we also know that we do have certain key components. Part of that E3 board, like I do believe Phil Spencer's part of that board also, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. Could be thinking about something else. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But there are key people in those E3, you know, chairs, I guess you could say, those musical chairs, that make those decisions and want E3 to kind of live on because of what it does mean to the community. I do still one of my ambitions is to, as much as people may downplay it, I want to go to an E3. I want to see how it feels. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see how crazy it is. I know some people say, oh, it's not worth it. You should rather go to XO or something else. Well, let me have that experience. Yeah. And that's my main thing, because seeing it digitally is not the same as actually going. And from what I remember growing up, every time that I saw E3 happen, it was like, oh man, I need to pay attention. Like, oh,
and those days are gone, right? Still,
that is true.
Again, even our experience even if we were able to go as first timers, it still wouldn't be the same as the old hats talk about the craziness that was E3. Like, right, that's kind of gone, passed by. But you're right, Steele. I still want to have that experience too. I still want to get somewhere where I'm around that many people who are passionate about this industry like I am, get the chance to meet you in person, other people in the community in person, and really just get that energy. It would be cool. Really
and mind you, we can definitely do that. Me and Pong could definitely meet outside of something like that.
Course we can.
Like, that doesn't have to be a reason, but it is a good reason to. Yeah. I would love to go to something like that, E3, XO, whatever the case might be. I personally have never been to one. Have always wanted to be at one. And now that I'm an adult, I can definitely start looking at doing those things because previously it was looked at like, oh, who cares? Why would you want to do that? That's not important. So it's like now I really want to get that experience. Possibly, I want to see what is it like sitting at a dinner table with 15 other guys that are extremely passionate about gaming the way that you are, and us just getting on the waiter's nerves or whatever the case, just us wasting all the time in their restaurant or whatever the case, just talking about gaming, exciting things that are happening, and just being obnoxious. You know what I mean? I want to see how that feels, but
exactly. Yeah, sorry, I brought that
thing.
up. I heard you mentioned E3, and it kind of clicked in me that I've been thinking about it for a while. So, I mean, good discussion.
It's definitely an interesting point. I'm glad you brought it up, and it definitely added some flavor to the conversation. I like it. All right, so I think the next thing we should kind of get into, I'm kind of on the fence.
Let's jump into Xbox stuff. Let's jump into Ubisoft Plus and Extraction. Now, you and I got to talk about it a little bit on Boom's show, the special that he did, which was awesome this week. But let's dive into this. Let's get down to business.
Do it.
Yeah. So go ahead, Seal. Set it up.
Rainbow Six Extraction is coming to Game Pass. Man, that's an amazing thing. Day and date.
January 20th.
Now, it is not to be confused. Ubisoft Plus is not coming to Game Pass, and that was something that a lot of people were confused about. They assumed as soon as the deal was made, or as soon as this was brought up, is that they were saying that Ubisoft Plus was going to be in Game Pass, and there were going to be later announcements and everything else. Even the guy himself, Dealer Gaming, ended up making a little bit of a snafu of it and had to make some corrections on his end because even he thought that was kind of the play that was happening. Now, that's not to say that it may still not end up happening, because it can, and this could be the first signs of it. There's has to be something else there when they're releasing their brand new IP on Game Pass day and date. Now, people can say, oh, it's because nobody was interested in the game. The game's not out yet. And you can't say that nobody's interested in the game because people love Rainbow Six Siege. And this game plays damn near or exactly like Rainbow Six Siege, except it has aliens in it. It's a main difference, and you have to rescue your teammates and things of that nature. And they've added more depth, and it's like they added an expansion on the Siege, right? That's kind of how I'm treating it. So it's like, do I think it's a $60 game? No, because it seems like an add-on to me. But the fact that it is coming into Game Pass.
To be fair, they did drop the price deal. It's $40.
Oh, it's $40.
It's 40. Nice. It's $40 bucks. Yeah.
So
they had done that a couple months ago. They changed
perfect.
it.
So I wasn't even paying attention to that. So that's excellent. Exactly. So an expansion price. And that's kind of what I was expecting and what I was kind of hoping for. So even if it's not in Game Pass, $40 isn't bad for a game of this stature if you're into it. The one thing that I can agree with people is that, no, it's not coming in. Games aren't just coming to Game Pass because nobody cared about the game. No, that's not why any of these games come into the service. And it makes me sick when I see people say these things. When certain things, you don't say when you see movies come to Netflix, it can be big movies. When I saw, what was the most recent big movie that came to Netflix? I watched it too. Squid Game. You know, I don't look at Squid Game coming to Netflix and say, oh man, it came to Netflix because nobody cared about it. That's why it didn't come to movie theaters. Like, what are we talking about? Like, just because it came into a service, there has to be something wrong with it, or people didn't like it, or whatever that case may be, and that's why it's there. Oh, no, how about maybe it's just a good service that has potentially, I was hoping for 50 million people subscribing to Game Pass by January 15th of 2022. I'm still going to stand on that hill. Again, I could be absolutely wrong. It's probably going to be more towards 35 million. I hope it's more 50 million because that would be crazy. That would really stir up there. You want to see Twitter blow up? Yeah. Oh my God.
Right.
Because I think that would change the perspective of everything. But with that being said, I think it's more so because of I'm going to call it the Forza effect. The reason I'm going to call it the Forza effect is because 11 plus million people, it might be 12, could be 13 million plus people at this point, have touched Horizon. Now, we can make the argument, we can go back and forth all day. Oh, we don't really know if those people actually played the game and they didn't spend 40 hours in the game, so they didn't really play it. Oh, they didn't play through the whole, do all the races, so they didn't really play it. We can definitely have those arguments, and I can understand where you're coming from that aspect. And we're never going to get those full breakdowns. But another game, Outriders, should be a perfect example of why games come to a service on their release. To be open to as many players as possible day one. Because let's face it, I don't care what game you are, you're fighting for people's time. You have to give people a reason to invest. A service gives people a reason to invest. Maybe you're on the fence like me. I'm not interested in playing Rainbow Six Extraction. Did I have some fun playing Siege? Yeah, I had some great times playing Siege. Will I try out Extraction at some point if Pong hits me up and is like, hey, Steel, let's try out some of this Extraction? Hell yeah, I'm goddamn right. I will be the first one to tell you right now, though, that I'm not looking at pre-downloaded or whatever the case might be. But if my brother Pong, so in that case, so if my brother Pong says, yo, Steel, let's check out this Extraction, let's get some runs in, I'll say, hey, man, fuck it, why not? It's on Game Pass. There's no harm, no foul with that. And if anything, if that initial experience is a good experience and a lot of people enjoy it, kind of like how we're seeing with Aliens that didn't do that great and it didn't launch in the Game Pass, which is now in the Game Pass, and people are playing it, giving it a chance, and saying, oh man, this game is kind of good. It gives me those memories of the older movies and it gives you that feel. And even when I played it with Pong, is it a game that I'd play by myself? Nah, I mean, it's not that great. But playing together when you got some buddies or whatever the case might be, it's just fun. And it's on Game Pass. So it's like, I didn't lose anything out of that. It was already part of my service. So, since, and this is also going to be coming from Game Rant, this is kind of giving a breakdown a little bit of Rainbow Six Extraction and everything. But, so, since its original launch back in December 2015, Rainbow Six Siege has continued to pull in massive player numbers. While players appear to be drawn to the game's tense tactical gameplay, the other part to this equation are the consistent updates, both with fixes, new content to keep the experience feeling fresh, and every now and again, Siege also receives limited time modes like Outbreak, which became a big hit with players when it arrived a couple years ago. And I can contest to that, and I can 100% guarantee you that is exactly why they made this.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So if people were already interested in that Outbreak mode, and they got big enough acclaim, big enough hoorah for them to make a dedicated game for it, obviously somebody cares. So the narrative, it's just in Game Pass because nobody wanted to play it, kind of starting to fall at it's kind of falling on deaf ears. But the mode changed the game's rules, pitting 3 players against waves of infected enemies with varying objectives. Outbreak was so popular that Ubisoft developed a spin-off game known as Rainbow Six Extraction. Taking those elements and expanding upon them, Extraction brings 18 of Siege's operators along with 12 maps that feature continually evolving objectives that are more rewarding the further the player gets. The latest trailer also sheds the light on the game's lore and story. So, with this, and I kind of want to just give you a little bit of background on it, with that article and everything. Ubisoft obviously sees a bigger play here. I heard you and Matt talking about Ubisoft Plus. What was that, Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
And yeah, definitely brought up some amazing points. Ubisoft Plus coming, I do think, is eventually
Hold on, Steel. Pause for a second.
Go ahead.
No. Inside thing, but I just gotta laugh because we were talking about this last 3-bit. Shout out, good to see you, brother. Hey, guess what? You show up in chat and we're talking about Ubisoft.
Oh yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
3-bit had not been on an Xbox Ultimate for months, and he shows up last night. We finally had the whole family back together, and we had a Ubisoft conversation. And for anybody who doesn't know, 3-bit formerly was contracted to do work for Ubisoft, so that's why it's just hilarious that it always winds up that way.
Confirmed. 3-bit worked on Rainbow Six Extraction. Confirmed.
Yeah, he did actually. He worked on the intro stuff that we saw when they first launched it.
Nice. Wow. Awesome.
Some of the trailer stuff, the graphics. He did work on that.
Hey, that's badass. So just to get back into it, so Rainbow Six Extraction obviously is coming out because people are interested.
Sorry, you paused on Ubisoft Plus,
right?
Just so you know.
And I was going to tie it back in.
Okay.
So Rainbow Six Extraction came out because people wanted it. Ubisoft Plus, the biggest fault to Ubisoft is that right now Ubisoft Plus, at least as it is on PC, I guess can vary in its value depending on what you're looking for. Ubisoft Plus is definitely valuable for an example, for like me, if you haven't played like the Assassin's Creed games, if you haven't played any recent Ghost Recons, and I'd have to pull it up to see what else they got in there. But there's also some other games that they got in there that are solid titles that also come with all the DLC for $15 a month. So I kind of think that that's why, a lot of people were anticipating, because we were hearing things behind the scenes about Ubisoft Plus possibly becoming part of Game Pass, or Game Pass Ultimate, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it had been out there for a long time. That smoke was around for a long time.
And so to see the announcement to come out, and for Ubisoft to double down and say, hey, it's not getting released in the Game Pass, but it is coming to Xbox, kind of tells me that they're looking to be an add-on to what you already have as part of your subscription service with Game Pass. So what I am anticipating with Ubisoft Plus is them to do, like, if you're a Game Pass Ultimate member, hey, for an additional $4.99, you can have Ubisoft Plus. All the content, all the DLC, everything else, as a way to get people invested. I say $4.99 because it kind of gives, because at that point, it would make your Game Pass subscription kind of right around $20, and it would be worth it if you're into those titles, especially with all the DLC day one, and you get the games released day one also. So I could definitely see how that could be a play, similar to kind of how EA has it, to where they have different forms of access. EA Play Pro isn't part of your Game Pass subscription, but if you get Pro, you get that access. So unfortunately, Pro is only on PC right now, I believe, and they have not brought that to console. With Ubisoft, with them bringing that to console, there could be an opportunity to make waves, I should say, I guess, within the ecosystem, right? Because you're automatically getting the attention of these, who knows by now, 25 plus million people, 30 million people, whatever the number is at, on Game Pass, who are interested in these Assassin's Creed, Ghost Recons, whatever games that Ubisoft Plus has, and you can have that investment to pay that a little bit additional money. Maybe it's $4.99, maybe it's $9.99. Whatever the case may be, but you're not paying full price for the game that you usually would. And it's only going to be an added-on benefit, and I feel that Ubisoft sees that, especially as they're getting ready to release the Avatar game. And there's some other titles that they're releasing down the road, like
Star Wars game for Massive.
Is Descenders? No, Descenders isn't Ubisoft, is it? I'm thinking about the other one.
Oh, you're talking about Riders Republic.
Riders Republic. There you go. Thank you. Riders Republic. It's an awesome opportunity for them to have more people to have eyes on their games. Because right now, let's be honest. Yeah, engagement for sure. But right now, let's be honest, Ubisoft isn't in the best eyes of the audience right now. With all the skepticism behind the scenes, the issues that they were having with their different games, the issues that they were having internally, the different harassment things that they're fighting right now. Still, again, we can't take our eyes off of those things. They're kind of behind the 8 ball right now. So I feel like this is a play for them to kind of be put into a better perspective as far as the gamer goes. And that could definitely be an opportunity there. I don't think that this is going to end up being a bad thing. I don't think they're going to end up charging $14.99 for you to also jump into Ubisoft Plus, because at that point, it kind of makes it not worth it. Why bring it to Xbox if you're going to charge the same thing that you're charging on PC? And even on PC, to me, I don't think it's worth it. I played Assassin's Creed, I played the Ghost Recon, but other than that, the fact that I can just unsubscribe from it and not really care for it, I don't play enough Ubisoft games, and I know a lot of people who do, who love to invest that time in those worlds, but especially with this most recent Assassin's Creed game with Valhalla, it's hard for me to put 100 hours into a game and it seems like it's never ending. Like, that's what kills me a lot about story player games, because I like my story player games to have an ending. Because I am one of those people. I'll traverse the world, I'll do everything in there, but at some point, when I've done everything, I've done every nook and cranny, and then I go back to talk to my chick at home base, and then she's like, hey, here's 3 more places that you got to go take over too. I'm just like, bro, how much more filler do I need in this game? Like, I just, like, at some point you have to cut it down. And that's for me personally. And, shout out to the homie King Mega. He loves it. He's like, man, I got I got hundreds of hours of content. Now Valhalla's released several expansion packs. And to me, it's like, I'm completely out of scope now. Like, I'm just completely uninvested now. Like, I don't even want to jump into it. I just spent 100 hours on the base game, still haven't beat it yet. And now I'm scared if I jump back into the game, I'm going to get sucked back in for another 300 hours. And I don't want to play Valhalla right now. I want to play Halo Infinite. I want to finish Horizon Zero Dawn. And that's kind of the unfortunate side of it, because we are in a space now to where gamers are short-sighted. Where you have that instant to grab their attention, you have a while to see how long they're going to engage with the game.
So much content now,
and there's so much out there that you can get lost in space. So I feel like that's the bigger play that's here. Ubisoft wants the guaranteed access, they want the guaranteed numbers, and they want people to have more eyeballs if they're going to continue to make games at the level that they're making them. Because I'll never say that an Ubisoft game is half baked. I'm sure could we say it's consistent and they do the same kind of things over and over again? Sure. We can definitely say that.
You can say that about Sony. It's the same thing.
Oh, that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation.
And nobody wants to have that conversation.
It's quality. It's quality. They know what they're doing.
And it works. And I can't argue with that. Valhalla is a beautiful game, for an example. Rainbow Six Siege is a great game, for an example. There's a reason why people love these titles. Ghost Recon, even though it's not my Ghost Recon, it's not Warfighter.
Yeah.
But if we want a advanced Warfighter again, they have to make sure that they have people that are going to consistently invest into their ecosystem, because that's the key point. Mm-hmm. Ecosystem, accessibility. Again, like I said on Boom Show, I'm going to continually beat that drum until it doesn't make any more noise. Accessibility. And I feel like that's the bigger play that Ubisoft is trying to make here. Pong, I mean, how do you feel about this whole thing with Ubisoft Plus? Yeah. I have heard some of your remarks and everything.
Oh yeah,
but how are you feeling about it now? I kind of, after what I've said about it, do you think that there is a bigger play here, that they just wanted more eyes, or is there something else there? What's going on?
So yeah, I've been able to discuss this a few times this week. So I've had my thoughts kind of really settled in here. You made some excellent points, Steel. We're on the same page in every way almost with this, and I think it's quite clear to see. So let's start with Extraction first, since you started with Extraction first. Let's start with Extraction. Extraction can find its place, but it needs, as we found out time and time again, when you come out with a multiplayer co-op, which we talked about earlier in the show, you have to have a base of players that is going to keep it alive. If you do not have a base of players, your game will die very, very quickly. You have to have a game that comes out that is polished, Ubisoft does very well. Otherwise, if you spend too much time fixing it, aka Outriders, you miss your window of opportunity.
I have
Outriders, I'm not going to spend time on Outriders, but since Steel and I beat Outriders co-op, look, that game had potential. That game has a base style, a gameplay loop that is phenomenal. I'm not overstating that. Am I going to sit here and say, like a lot of people were trying to say before it came out, that it was going to be a Destiny killer? Okay, come on.
Come
on. However, it could have made a mark because the gameplay loop, the style, the mixture of guns and special abilities was so well done that it really did have potential to find its own place. However, too many issues. They focused on fixing all the wrong stuff instead of the stuff that really matter. And guess what? They lost their entire base. Okay. So I just bring up Outriders as an example of a game that could have hit.
Right.
So with Extraction, look, they had this type of, or they look, when they introduced it to Rainbow Six Siege, right? It did catch fire and a lot of people loved it. And Ubisoft is looking for money makers right now. So they sat back, they took it back, said, look, what can we do with this? Oh, cool. Let's make a standalone game. Awesome. Not a problem with it whatsoever. If you're going to flesh it out, it's going to be a full-fledged game. Great. But like you said, Steel, when they showed it off, $60 was too much for what they were showing off. Right. It wasn't, there was not a big enough game, big enough experience to charge $60. So they said $40. Cool. All right, great. You guys made a good decision there. But you got to have that install base. And when they showed the trailer, what they also found out was hype level was extremely low for it. People were like, okay, great. I know Rainbow Six Siege is great. I might have some friends that play a lot of it because it's still a pretty big deal. It's in esports. There's still a diehard fan base there. So cool. But am I really going to jump into another multiplayer co-op experience that we have been saturated with over the past couple of years? Am I going to really pay $40 to jump into this too as well? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the hype level just wasn't there. Ubisoft realized that this whole time the smoke has been around about Ubisoft Plus coming in, right? So they have a good relationship with Xbox. So what do? All right, let's try to create an instant base. How are we going to do that? Let's drop it into Game Pass. 30 million, 35 million eyes on it instantaneously. All people do is have to click. All they have to do is click the download button. All of a sudden they see their friends playing it. And friends are hitting them up saying, hey, have you downloaded Extraction yet? Let's jump in. Let's try this thing out. You get that instant base. Now you have to have something good there for people to stick around. That's what I was just talking about. But we do know from the past that Ubisoft is good at it. And from everything that I've seen, it does look like it's a polished game. It looks like it's a really good game to start with. They have 18 operators, 16 or 18 operators out the gates, each one with unique abilities. All right. Now you're speaking my language. That gives me a lot of different trial and error, right? That gives me a lot of different ways that I can play the game. So if I don't like one operator, I can hop to another and see if it fits more my style.
Right.
My friends, the same thing when we're trying to build a cohesive team, because they are leaning heavily into the strategy aspect of this game, that you have to build a team of three. Again, this 3-player stuff, I understand a lot of it is for easier balancing, but we got to get back to 4-player co-op. Okay. 4 players is like the minimum with these co-op
the
games.
3-player stuff is really weird, man.
It's really weird, man. And and I understand, I get it. I'm not a dev. I've read on it and I've heard enough devs speak out on it that 3-player is just easier to balance. I get that. But come on. We got to get back to 4 players, man. 3 players is so tough. Anyways, they're leaning heavily into that strategy aspect that you got to have a team that works together, which is awesome. Again, there's a place for the games where you can just roll in with, like Back for Blood. You can just roll in with anybody. Yeah, they talked about the strategy a little bit. There's a little bit there, but for the most part, everybody can kind of have what they want and just roll in and you guys can have a great time. Right. This is much more thinking man's co-op, which is fine with me. I don't have an issue with that. I think it does have some, it does provide some replayability when you
when you make it more strategy, because you go in, you get your butts kicked by some aliens, and you say, okay, we got to rethink this. How are we going to set up this team right? So being able to upgrade all your operators, all that kind of stuff is fantastic. So this was a win for both sides here, because Xbox gets that big, even if the hype levels were low, right? They still get a big name, AAA third-party title dropping into Game Pass day and date early on in 2022, right? Because we know they don't have a lot of first-party stuff. So Xbox has got, again, this year is not going to be the year where they hit that cadence of one AAA per quarter. They're going to be close again. The second half of the year is going to be loaded yet again. Yeah. But for the beginning part of this year, they got to fill in this blank. So this was a perfect opportunity for them to do that with Extraction. And a perfect spot for Ubisoft to take a game that they had high hopes on, that didn't really generate the buzz they were hoping for, and give it some of that instant boost, right, with Game Pass, which it did. Again, it was trending. So it was trending when it was announced, right? And people are talking about it again. And I see people in the chat saying, hey, look, now that it's in Game Pass, I'm going to try it. I'm going to just give it a go and see what it's about. And if it's really, really good, who knows? It could be the next big thing.
Look at that.
What?
No, I'm just saying, look at that.
I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it now. It turns out great. I thought something happened in chat. Sorry.
No. I said it like that just because, and I don't mean to throw you off balance.
No, don't worry about it.
I was just saying it like that because people make it seem like it's such a bad thing, and you think these companies are stupid?
No, they're not stupid.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
Now you're interested in it. You just said, oh, it's in Game Pass? Oh, yeah. I'll try it now.
Right. Exactly. Anyway. That's what it does. No, that's exactly what it does. And the word of mouth spreads from there. And again, if the game is good and it's quality and it finds its spot within all the other content, awesome. It'll grow from there. We've seen it happen with other games. So perfect opportunity for both of them. I think was I going to pay $40 for Extraction? No, I wasn't, especially as a budget gamer. I had already decided, because again, a lot of you all were saying, well, I'm not going to get it. Nah, we got plenty to play. So I wasn't going to jump into it, even though you can play this solo too, by the way. They have stated that. So now I think it really does have a chance, and I'm excited. I've already pre-downloaded it. I've created the space for it, pre-downloaded it. I'm ready to rock and roll, because I am watching the latest trailer too. Got me more excited, because they did a better job of presenting it in the latest trailer. So I'm really kind of excited to check it out. So that's Extraction. Good W on both sides of things. Now with Ubisoft Plus, this is a big conversation that I've had multiple times this week. This is okay. You made a lot of great points, Steel. So I'm going to attack it from a little different perspective here, somewhat. This is the drawing, and I talked about this on PM and the PM. This is the drawing of the lines. When it comes to, look, Ubisoft Plus has already been available on Stadia for people who didn't know that. Yeah. And a lot of people wouldn't know that because it's Stadia. Okay, great. They tried it there. Mm-hmm. It was $14.99. It was a straight up, just here's our service. If you want to join, great. But with Xbox and Ubisoft, we see both sides now, Sony and Xbox, starting to partner up with specific publishers within the industry. And we've seen this in the past. Don't get me wrong. This isn't new per se.
Right.
However, those lines are getting drawn, and we could talk about it if we get a chance, Steel, about Sony and Square and all that kind of stuff and that partnership that's going on over there, which has been up for a while, but seems to be solidifying. Xbox is making the play for Ubisoft. They already made the play for EA. They've strengthened their relationship with Sega, because this is now a war of content. Content is king. And when it comes to these services like Game Pass that are now the vehicle forward, that is the platform. And we see Sony coming up with their own soon. Content is even more king. So you've got to have partners that are going to provide content, and you've got to have options within your service, like we see with Netflix, like we see with Amazon. Hey, add HBO, add HBO Max for this
Right.
amount of money, but you have to have that also in there. And Ubisoft Plus is one of those added things. Now,
Yes.
like you said, Steel, I don't think this is a straight $15. They could have said that easily in the presser and said, date of launch to be announced later. We'll talk about it soon, right? They could have said, but we're launching Ubisoft Plus, $15 a month, coming to Xbox, date to be announced. We'll talk soon. That's it. The reason why they didn't say the price is because that's being hammered out behind the scenes. There's going to be a discount here. There's going to be a discount because that also adds value to Game Pass. They're going to say, whatever it is, I personally believe it's between $5 and $10 for Ubisoft Plus if you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, right?
That's
if
the
you're
key.
an Ultimate, yes, if you're an Ultimate subscriber, it's not going to be 15. It's going to be tiered. Okay. So $5 to $10 extra for Ubisoft Plus. If it was just a straight 15, personally for me, that would be one of those services that I add when one of their new games come out,
Right.
and then I cancel it afterwards.
That's
right.
not what
And
they
that's not what they want. Right. But at that to me at $15, because like you said, I'm paying $15 for Game Pass Ultimate. That gives me 400 plus games. Paying $15 mentally for Ubisoft Plus for a lot of games that I already own to get the DLC to be able to play their back catalog, but really they only launch on a good year, 3 games, maybe 4 games, maybe. That to me, no, that's
really
not worth it to me, right? So, but at a $5 to $10 price, I can do it. I can say to myself to have access to their entire back catalog, to have all the DLC available to me, day and date stuff. Yeah, I can see that happening for sure. So I think there's definitely going to be a tiered system. I do not doubt for a minute that they're also coming up with their own vault like EA Play, so that just their older titles, no DLC, older titles, let's say 18 to 24 months and older, are available in the vault that will be rolled in some form or fashion to Game Pass.
Like EA.
Yes, like EA, right? Because that's going to introduce people, again, like you talked about, Steel, it's getting people engaged with your games, even people that may have not played certain games out of their catalog, and they have a huge catalog, by the way. That have not played those games will jump into those games and then say, oh, either I'm going to upgrade or maybe I'll just pick up the DLC. And then all of a sudden you get that sale that was not there before because somebody got to try your game while it was in Game Pass, an older game. Pick up that DLC that's now cheaper and just invest in it, right? That's an extra stream of income that Ubisoft does not currently have outside of the PC Ubisoft Plus market, but it's also an added extra stream because if you get people to buy stuff off your older games, that's stuff you never expected. That's why we see old games drop into Game Pass to reignite people's like for them and then get those transactions out of them, right? That's how this works. It's a win-win for everybody involved. That's where Game Pass becomes a no-brainer for a lot of these companies. So Ubisoft Plus is going to come in, I believe, in a tiered way to get people back and subscribed to that service, but also to uplift Ubisoft, because like you said, Steel, they're a wounded animal right now. I use that description on other shows. They're a wounded animal right now. People love their games, but they don't love the direction that recently that we've been hearing from them. They've been talking about a lot of free to play, a lot of games as a service. They've, until just 2 months ago, had ignored Splinter Cell for an entire generation and had tried to put Sam Fisher in mobile games and all sorts of garbage, right? So they've been in this awkward position. They don't know how to navigate the new industry. They're trying to find their way. But there are signs that they're looking at EAs, the Capcoms of the world, and saying, hey, we can do both. We can have a good balance, and we can still make our old style games and make them worthwhile and make them profitable, while we also look at trying to make these monetized to hell games as well, right? We could try to do both. And I think they're trying to finally figure out their way to do this. And Ubisoft Plus is going to be a vehicle within Game Pass to make sure that they get some good word of mouth going from people hey, this is still really good. Hey, you know, Ubisoft Plus at $10 or whatever, $5, whatever it is over on Game Pass is extremely good value.
Yeah.
You should jump on this, right? And then when it comes to the older games, and they're going to try to maybe bring back some of the IP, like a Splinter Cell. Well, guess what? Everybody gets to go back into the vault and play Splinter Cells again.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. All the people that may not have been able to experience get to go back and try them and say, hey, you know what? I kind of like Sam Fisher as a character. I can't wait for this new remake coming out. I can't wait to see what they do with him. For all the people who don't know about him, and for all of us old heads that may not, I own all the Splinter Cells, so to me, it's no big deal. Right. But for a lot of people don't, they get to hop back in and reignite that love again. There's so many different ways that works by offering that service in there. And again, on Xbox's side of things, it's just more content, even if it's optional, even if it is a tack on, even if it is an add-on for the time being.
Right.
It still gives people that option when they hop in the Game Pass, just like you see with the Amazon's Netflix. Hey, you know what? I've held off for a while, but I really want to hop into some of these Ubisoft games. Let me just add on this subscription right now. And I can just download and play, right? Yeah, exactly. That's the way it works. Mm-hmm. So to me, I think again, overall, this is the play that's being made. And I think we're going to see more deals like this happening, especially on Xbox's side, but Sony behind the scenes always is partnering up with people and strengthening relationships. But I really think this is a content play here for the long haul too. This is the beginning of a big relationship. Now, if Ubisoft Plus shows up over on Sony side when they launch Spartacus, well, then we could talk. But I think overall, I think that Xbox is trying to say, hey, we can benefit each other down this, this future that we both see is happening. You get hyped for your games.
Right.
Not every game has to be day and date in Game Pass, but we give people the option to jump into your service to have those day and date games. But also we have this great relationship where if a game isn't getting the traction that you were hoping for, you can just drop it right into Game Pass.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll try to get you some of that traction back again. Right. There's a lot there. This is what we talked about. The advantage that Xbox has with a service like Game Pass results in these types of deals. We just saw the deal with Sega. That's been argued nonstop. Look, it's a bigger play involved there, but there's a reason why Sega partnered with Xbox is because the advantages that Xbox is now growing reach has over limiting yourself to just standalone console drops, right? And making people pay that upfront money. The reach that a Game Pass and xCloud and all those services have is enticing to other third-party publishers, other third-party devs who want to get those instant 30, 35 million, 50 million, whatever it's going to be, 100 million down the road, eyes on their game instantaneously. And everybody understands from a business standpoint, you can't put a value on that instant, hey, our new game's here. All you got to do is download it. Or, hey, it's dropping into our service that we've got attached to Game Pass. Just subscribe. Even if you're going to unsubscribe 2 months later, we really don't want you to do that. But even if you do that, we got you for that instantaneous, that one piece. And there's a chance that you stick around. That cannot be undersold when it comes to Game Pass and what Xbox is doing currently. So love the play. Great stuff. I'm glad we're finally hearing about it. Again, devil's in the details. So we've got to wait until the full release and how they're going to do it. I suspect I suspect it's going to be E3. It goes live. I think it would be the perfect stage to do it on, right? To announce, hey, we talked about this. We said this was coming. Ubisoft Plus now available. Go add it on for X amount of dollars to your game, your Game Pass Ultimate subscription or whatever they do. Oh, by the way, the vault of the old Ubisoft games, they're going to be available if you're already subscribed to Game Pass. Dude, talk about a huge library. When you throw EA and you throw those old games in there, even if you're not a player that goes back and plays those old games, man, that's just extreme value. So that's where I see it headed still. I think this is a great move for everybody involved.
Yeah, 100%. Paul AFC brought up a good question, and then also Shan786 had a good question, and I'm gonna get to Shan's
Shout out to Sean.
Sean, no, okay,
talk that shit, Sean. Talk that shit, buddy.
I love Sean's energy.
For anybody who doesn't know, Sean is from WBG. You should all be subscribed to WBG. They subscribe to Sean's channel. Yeah,
Xbox content over there, ladies and gentlemen. But they got some good energy over there. I love them boys over there. They're good people. But Paul AFC, since we're on talking about Ubisoft, Paul AFC brings up the question, Pong Soul, do you think with Ubi joining, those games will have access to cloud? Bigger audience entices this.
Yes, and that's a part that I really didn't touch on too. It's all the little things. It's a quality of life stuff, right? They're going to integrate Ubisoft Plus, right? So that means you're talking about Ubisoft Plus has their own stuff over on the PC, right? But now with it being available within Game Pass, guess what? I can only assume that cross-save transfers are going to be easy. If you want to go from playing the Game Pass version or the add-on version on Game Pass to your PC, you're going to have that save right there. And then, so yeah, all of that little stuff is going to also increase the value of this service. And yes, I do believe that the cloud streaming is another step, because again, Ubisoft understands that accessibility is a huge part of this. Xbox, Microsoft give them that instant accessibility by going this route, right? Even if they don't have the back end stuff, the servers, all that kind of stuff set up, they can just go to Xbox, much like Sega just did, right? And be able to get their games out there like that. So yes, I do believe that's part of the plan as well.
Yeah, 100%. And then Sean786, he said, Pong and Steel, I mentioned this on TTS. Can you see one brand new AAA game minimum per month into Game Pass? And I'll start off with this one.
Go ahead, Steel.
I don't know if I see it on a month-to-month basis. Reason being is because we still want to have the utmost quality. Now, I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. I see it more as I can see 4 AAA games coming out per year. Easily. That's one every 3 months with some filler in between. Allowing plenty of... It also depends.
Let me ask this real quick. Sean, put in the chat, are you talking about just first party, just third party, or are you talking about both first and third party together? Yeah. Are you talking about...
If it's first and third party, then yeah, there's going to be, I can see it coming out on a month-to-month basis. But if it's just Xbox first party, as far as like AAA games go, I'm thinking 4 games a year with a lot of in between. This time around, Xbox having close to 30 studios, 27 on the path to 30. I think Phil has even said that they want 30. That's their kind of like their safety net that they want to get to, just to make sure that they have plenty of content. I think that's really going to set a new precedent, a new standard, because nobody else is doing that. The closest person is maybe Nintendo, and they're dropping like the same games all the time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like PlayStation doesn't do that. Xbox definitely doesn't do that. So it's like, could that happen? Yeah, but man, if they were able to release games on a month-to-month basis, especially AAA games, because that seems to be what a lot of people care about, although indies seem to be pushing our industry forward more than anything else. Shout out to the indies community. I just feel like there's so much potential to be had in there. But again, just to answer your question, and depending on how you answer to the question that Pong just asked, if it's AAA games just from Xbox itself, first party, I can see 4 a year, one every 3 months. But if we're including everything, first and third, oh yeah, you can see one AAA game at least releasing on a month-to-month basis. And with that, that's how you create a service that's undeniable. I know I was listening to Press Start the other day, and Press Start podcast, shout out to Kofi and them. They got some good content out there. They have some, I like their opinions. They like to throw some smoke out there every now and then, but I feel like they're a little bit more level-headed than a lot of other people out here. So definitely check them out if y'all into it. But he was saying, so Shan was saying both. He was saying both. Yeah. So to answer your question, yeah, first and third, yeah, I can see it happening on a month-to-month basis. But they made a point on the Press Start podcast that Kofi made. He was saying that Microsoft is trying to get you to a point to where the service is undeniable. For better or for worse. He was kind of attacking it from more of a like kind of like a Netflix situation where it's kind of like, oh, you have to have Netflix, right? Microsoft wants you to feel the same way about Game Pass. You have to have Game Pass. And I didn't take that as a negative thing because I don't see nothing wrong with that being the case. I mean, again, you saw that trend kind of happen with cable. You got your streaming services now, and it's like, damn, I have to have Netflix. I mean, you don't have to, but you would like to have Netflix. You would like to have Hulu. You would like to have Disney Plus. And some of those, especially for those who have kids, Disney Plus is like a guaranteed thing. Netflix is a guaranteed thing. You know what I mean? So it's like you are enticing these services and everything, and on a month-to-month basis, sometimes even it feels like on every other week, they're coming out with content to keep you enticed into the service. And then boom, before you know it, you forgot about it. I pay for Game Pass Ultimate on a month-to-month basis. Sorry guys that y'all find like that y'all do the dollar deals and everything. I don't have enough time in my day to sit here and go through the Game Pass reward program and everything else. I don't care about it. I let those points stack up. I'm not really worried about that. But to give you the perspective, I don't think about it. And I have 2 subscriptions, one for me and then one for my wife. I don't ever think about it. That's $30 a month that I'm never thinking about. And my wife doesn't even play PC. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and that's because the service is undeniable. Whether I'm on PC, whether I'm on my Xbox, I have access to all my content, whether there's titles on PC that I have that I can't play on PlayStation, on Xbox, or there's content on Xbox that I can't play on PC, vice versa. So it's just one of those things. What do you think about it? What do you think about that, Pong?
Yeah. So let's backtrack a little bit. As far as Sean's question goes, yeah, Sean, I do believe they eventually get to that point. Eventually, first party, when they hit their peak, whether it's 2023, 2024, I think we could see a first party title come out once every 2 months at some point, because they have so much going on, right? And I'm also assuming more acquisitions in the in-between here, which is going to happen as well. So yeah, eventually I do see that, because like Steel was just talking about, with this subscription model, they understand, even though, again, there's so many differences between Netflix and Game Pass that people just never talk about or equate when it comes to purchasing things and all that kind of stuff. Even though that's all there,
right,
you still have to have something exciting happening in Game Pass at all times to keep people subscribed. So it doesn't become one of those services that people subscribe to and then unsubscribe from. Right. You just want people, like Steel just explained, it's just going to be there that you don't even think about it, because you know you're not going to go through the trouble, because next week they could all of a sudden announce something that you want to get back into again. So why go through the trouble of unsubscribing? Right? That's what they want. They want that constant anticipation. So, but yes, I do see them filling those blanks in right now with third-party deals. So yes, I do see one big game, especially this year. The way they started off with Extraction, they've already got Stalker 2 lined up as well. I could see them having Dying Light 2 might be the next one. I could see them trying to get one third-party deal a month until this summer, when they can start launching their first party stuff again. Age of the Empires coming to console is some smoke that we're hearing recently. That could be the first one out of the gate sometime around May. And then you're set for the rest of the year with what they've got coming, right? So you got Redfall, you've got Forza Motorsport, we're all expecting, and then you've got Starfield, of course, to end the year. So yeah, I think these deals, Jeff Grubb has already said there's billions set aside for Game Pass deal, billions with an S. Grubb would not release the official number. He claims that he has seen that number. He just said it is billions. They are going to spend that money this year filling in those blanks. 2023, 2024, they will continue to do third-party deals, but they won't have to do them with the frequency unless they really want to, which they could. They're in growth phase. So as long as growth phase, until they hit whatever internal numbers, that growth phase means they're going to spend whatever's necessary to get people to keep buying into the service at a high rate. So they could certainly keep continuing to do that,
especially if deals keep falling through.
correct. And as to Doom Reaper's point in the chat, yeah, Doom Reaper, I've spoken about this since last year, that Game Pass will get to a certain point where Xbox, and I think it's already there to some degree, Xbox will no longer have to go out and approach people. They will have people approaching them.
Oh, I think it's already like that 100%.
It's in a lot of ways, it's already like that. We know there's a line to get into Game Pass for the smaller devs, right? The smaller devs want in on this, okay? Because the marketing the free marketing that they get from getting their game into Game Pass, they could never ever afford. Okay. So the smaller devs all want in, but as far as the big publishers goes, especially when it comes to multiplayer games like Extraction, there will come to a point where it is a risk for you not to have that game drop into Game Pass, right? There will be a risk that you take for your multiplayer game, not having all of those millions of instant eyes on your game.
Right.
That unless you're a strong enough title, like unless you're like a Call of Duty or something, like that, you will miss out not putting it into Game Pass. If there will come to that point where those big third-party publishers are approaching Xbox and going, hey, how do we get in? Right? Because it only makes so much sense, even if it is for a short period of time, 3 months, 6 months, whatever the deal may be. I've said this from the get-go. I think eventually EA and their partnership with Xbox, eventually like the Maddens, because that Ultimate Team money is so real that eventually that time between when Madden launches and when it drops into the vault and Game Pass shortens. They will take all that free upfront money, like that, those initial people that buy every year. But I think that time frame that they wait shortens down, so they get more people at the beginning of the season when everybody's hyped for football, spending money on Ultimate Team. I think eventually that stuff starts happening too. So that's a big play as well. Doom Reaper asked about second party deals. Hey, we've already got those in the works, right? Contraband, right? With Avalanche is already, we know, close. Whether it's this year or next year, we'll find out soon. I'm thinking 2023, but that's a second party deal. IO Interactive, they're already working on that big, the codename Dragon, right, which is a RPG. We know they're working on that. That is a second party deal because it is fully funded by Microsoft and will be exclusive. So those second party deals are definitely coming, and there's probably a ton more in the works. We've heard a ton of code names thrown out there that we don't even know about yet as well, because Jez has alluded to that the stuff that they have going on in the background that has not even leaked or been announced is incredible. So I believe that those deals are coming. We will see those shortly, but yeah, it's exciting, man. There is so much coming. Look, we're already overflowing. Let's be real. And it's just going to get worse. There's going to be so much available to us right at our fingertips to download in these coming years that we're all going to be screaming for more time in the day, that we need 48-hour days versus 24-hour days in order to play this stuff. So yeah.
And then Only on Xbox asks, he has two different questions. It's probably going to be an extension of the original question that he ended up asking. He just asked, which studio or publisher do you think, do you guys think, hey, Stubbs, acquisition talk, baby, that Microsoft will acquire this year? But the earlier question that he asked was, why not buy Ubisoft and Warner Brothers? And again, just to kind of
only on Xbox, I love you.
Just to kind of stray away from the Apple acquisition thing. For me, I think the biggest thing is, if there was going to answer the question straight up, I think that the purchase for Warner Brothers just makes more sense. Again, as far as Ubisoft goes, it just goes with the saying, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for a good price? You know what I'm saying? Or like when the milk isn't, like, they're just kind of, you got a good deal going on, you got a good relationship, why go ahead and buy the whole cow? You know what I'm saying? It's one of those. Whereas like with Warner Brothers, it would be a little bit different because of not only the IP, but also the media side of things. Whether it be movies or anything else, the superhero side of things, get more DC characters rolling in. Everybody loves a good superhero game. Well, not everybody, but superhero games are, at least these days, on a better standard than they have ever been in the past, as we've seen with Spider-Man, and now hopefully we'll see with Wolverine. But I would say I'm leading. If there's anybody that I'm looking for Microsoft to buy this year that I do feel is kind of a background play that was already in motion, is part of the reason why WB quote unquote said they pulled away from selling. I think there's something already going on with Microsoft, and they're trying to figure out that whole thing on the legal side of it to make sure they get all that content. But that's
exactly, Paul FC, buy everything. Yeah, no. With Ubisoft, look, they're owned by the Guillemot family, and that family does not want to sell. Okay, they fought off a hostile takeover a few years ago. They don't want to sell. So again, Ubisoft is not in the picture. Now, someday the family was going to sell. Would Xbox be interested in all that IP? Of course they would. It'd be stupid to say they wouldn't be interested. Obviously, that's some very high value IP over there. Even the damage that Ubisoft has done, those name brands are some of the pillars of the gaming industry, right? When you say Assassin's Creed, right? When you say Tom Clancy, even though they've destroyed that name, it still carries enough weight.
Yeah.
Of course they'd be interested, but that family is not interested in selling at all. So Ubisoft, no. Like Steele said, you just strengthen the relationship, get them on your side of things, get some favors going, and do the old business way that, the handshakes, and the winks and all that kind of stuff, the way that business used to be done. That's the way the family does run. If you get on their good side, look, you're going to have preferential treatment when it comes to Game Pass drops and all that kind of stuff. We've seen it already. They're strengthening that relationship. It's a good relationship. You keep that. WB, it's been said many times only on Xbox. I have discussed it at length on almost every single show. That's the big play. Okay, in my heart of hearts, and Stubbs Gaming is going to disagree with me till the day he dies, but we will find out at some point. I believe that they eventually buy all WB Discovery. Okay, because my future that I see, this is not just about video games anymore. When it comes to these services, this is now about multimedia. This is now about movies and TV, books. Yep. You name it. We just saw Dark Horse. Embracer Group just brought Dark Horse. We already know the relationship that Sony's been building. Well, you can say building. They've used their Spider-Man rights to kind of partner up with Marvel, and they're getting the Marvel deals right
forcibly,
now, right? But you kind of in a lot of ways, right? So in the future, though, when it comes down to these streaming services, you cannot have 150 different streaming services from all different types of people and expect everybody to go ahead and subscribe to those people. There's going to be consolidation of the entertainment industry as a whole. We're already seeing signs of that. Like I said, Embracer Group bought Dark Horse Comics for a reason. You now own all those IPs. You can make books, you can make TV, you can make movies, you can make games, and you don't have to worry about going to get the licensing. Okay, it's all in-house. So there's a reason why we're starting to see that, and I think WB is the play that Xbox makes. They already have a great relationship. There are so many connections between the two. It's ridiculous when you go down. There was just some more hires before the holidays of some people from WB into Xbox. We already have Matt Booty. Look, go through the list. We already have a great relationship connection between those two. Right?
Too many Legos.
Too many Legos. I think you buy the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
I think Xboxes, good old Donnie D, his original vision when he launched the Xbox One, and it was TV. Right. Xbox had already jumped in there. Right? Microsoft has history. They created a whole studio for TVs and movies that they were planning on doing. Mm-hmm. They shut it down. Phil nixed it because he had to. He had to cut the fat, right? When they went back to focusing on gaming, he cut the fat out. But they already have experience in that realm. They're going to jump back into that because, like I said, the ultimate plan, in my eyes, is in the future. Again, whether this is 5 years, 10 years down the road, the ultimate plan is to be able to hop on your TV, You hit that Xbox app, whatever it's called. You hit that Xbox app. You and your family sit down and watch the latest Halo movie, watch the latest Halo TV series. And then all of a sudden you get done with that. You're all hyped up about Halo. Everybody turns to each other and says, want to get a couple rounds in a multiplayer? Everybody's like, yeah, same app. You just click right over your Halo game, your Halo Infinite, right? And you start playing matches. That's the ultimate experience. All in one package is going to be the way to go. Whatever the monthly cost is, if you can offer TVs, music, movies, games, all there in one spot, that's the ultimate package. We're going to see Sony do it with their Spartacus. Eventually, they will offer, if they don't out the gates, they will differentiate themselves from Game Pass with their movies, music, and all that kind of stuff that they can offer animation because they've spent so much money picking up all those anime studios.
Right.
They will offer all of that in a package deal along with their games, right? That's how they're going to differentiate themselves. Xbox is not stupid. Microsoft sees the future. If the philosophy change has happened and Microsoft is willing to jump back into the entertainment industry as a whole and understands that that is where it's going, WB makes the most sense. You get DC, you get Matrix, you get Lord of the Rings, you get Harry Potter,
Batman.
You get so many IP.
Batman
you
itself.
can do whatever you want. Batman itself. You get so many IP that you can do whatever you want to with.
You want your direct competition with Sony? Get Batman exclusive to Xbox and then see what happens.
Right. Exactly.
That's undeniable at that point. Not only you have Batman, the biggest IP on DC side, and then you have Spider-Man, the biggest IP on the Marvel side. Character-wise also, both in their own universes. One exclusive to Xbox, one exclusive to PlayStation. That is healthy competition.
It is. That's the way you do it. In Stubbs, don't think that there are people looking at Disney right now. The only thing with Disney is nobody wants to deal with the theme parks. Nobody wants that theme park business.
I think they're making
especially
too much money.
Nowadays. They're making too much money, and the theme parks are a liability. With the pandemic, it showed how things could crash very quickly, right? They're doing okay. But again, the theme park business is a whole different business. But don't think people aren't looking at Disney. Don't. Disney, if they were to fall more, let's say their theme park, let's say the pandemic does not end. Let's say they continuously go, let's say something, and I hate even thinking about this, but let's say something goes really sideways in the world again. And that theme park business is no longer sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
And Disney has to cut their losses and close down theme parks. Guarantee you people would be knocking on their door. Guaranteed people would be knocking on that door. Oh, yeah.
And I think Microsoft would be the first one. Because they'd be the only one that would even have the capital to even consider it. Yeah. If not them, hopefully it wouldn't be somebody else. Because we wouldn't want a Tencent or something like that to come in there, and it could be Amazon.
And Amazon's the one. You and I have talked about this here too. Amazon and Sony. Just keep that in the back of your heads. At some point in the future, that would be immediate one-for-one competition and even some advantage to Amazon right now as it sits because of all their content over there. That
Guaranteed.
Would be immediate one-for-one competition with Microsoft and Xbox. Immediate. That would be two juggernauts head-to-head right there. Yep. It would be huge. Yep.
And then they would have the market capital to make those things shake and make those things happen for sure.
Yep. All the infrastructure, everything, man. Yep. They got it all there. Yep.
You want your cloud infrastructure? You don't have to get it from MS anymore. You can get it straight from Amazon.
Yep. There's your speculation town for the
day. There you go. All right. Thanks. All right. So to keep it moving on, this is probably going to be the last topic for today. At least the last one that we have on the books. I know PlayStation VR 2 is in there again, kind of like how we stated in the beginning, just to touch on it a little bit. Me and Pong are on the same page, man. And again, unless I could be like Log Horizon, Overlord, Ready Player One, Sword Art Online, unless I'm going to be fully immersed in these experiences, I'm not trying to hold controllers in my hand. No. I just put me in there and just let me have the full experience. I want to be able to traverse the world, have all the combos, feel like I'm doing it in real time, and then have to unplug to be woke back up into reality, whatever the case might be. I think that would be the most amazing VR experience. Not to say that VR can't be fun, but the investment that it takes for VR.
Later, Sean. Have a good day, man. Thanks for dropping in, brother.
Shout out to you, Sean. Much love.
Yep.
But yeah, the investment that it takes for VR, I'm not willing to take. It will never, at this current point, it's nowhere close to worth it to me. Any thoughts on that real quick, Pong?
Like I said it a million times. Look, no, until I can go full body experience IV and live in that world. If I'm 80 years old and I can go relive my 20s again in VR, cool. I'm down. Okay. Sign me up.
With superpowers.
Superpowers. Exactly. Sign me up. However, I did state this the other night when we talked about it PM and the PM. One thing that would get me interested into VR, and I think is once they get it down to a point where they have a VR service that offers me the opportunity to go to sporting events, to go to concerts, ballets, plays,
that could be dope.
Whatever the case, if they set it up where I can get the best seat in the house for a obviously much reduced price, and I can go see something that is not available in my area anywhere, or that I would not have the money to attend
that would
live.
Be dope.
That's when you get me. It's still not going to be the same experience. I'm a huge live music guy, right? I plays all of it. I'm a huge live person. It's still not going to be the same experience. But if you're going to offer me to be able to go to, let's say, Europe and watch, the London Symphony Orchestra play, a Christmas event, let's say, right? And you're going to let me sit in the best seat in the house, like I'm right there.
Mm-hmm.
You got me. I will pay money to go do that, right? In VR. Or if you're going to let me go to the Super Bowl, sit on the 50-yard line, and then maybe even have the ability to walk down on the sidelines live during the game, like I was standing next to like the coaches, and to see that those plays happening, you got me. Okay, I'll be there, right? So and I know they've got services that offer some of that stuff right now. They do, but I'm saying one consolidated where I can just flip it on, have my VR headset on, and just have a list of all different things going currently on that I can pick and choose from. And I could say, hey, $10, I want to go to the Super Bowl today. That's when I'm in. I will definitely do that. That would be sweet, man.
Yeah, that would definitely, that would make it a little bit more enticing for sure.
Right.
All right. So the last and final portion that we do want to touch on, because it is an interesting, I think it's an interesting
let me say this, Steele. Hold on. Sorry, I didn't finish my thought.
Oh, you're good.
Sorry, it just popped in my head. I do want to give, because I do this on every time I talk about this, even though I'm not in the PSVR, even though I'm not in the VR in general, I'm happy that there's companies pushing this forward.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the guy that's going to sit here and say, oh, VR is a waste of time. This is never going to become big. No. I know the future as well. I know VR could be the ultimate future where everybody's sitting around socializing, gathering, playing games, watching movies together. I know VR could be the ultimate experience eventually. The technology has to get to that point, and without all of these companies, including Sony, pushing it forward, we would never have that opportunity. So I give props to all these companies, and when the time is right, Xbox will jump into this when the time is right. Right now, they're trailblazing so many different areas with the cloud, which could eventually help VR, but they're trailblazing in all these different areas, and they're doing AR, VR work on the commercial side of things with different industries, such as the military. They eventually will jump into this when the time's right. Okay. But right now, let everybody else do the trailblazing there, because it's a lot of R&D. It's a lot of money. They know that.
That's not
for gaming right now. It's too niche for Xbox to jump into. They can partner with somebody if they really want to. As I said on PM to PM, if they want to buy a couple of devs, like if this year they came out and bought a couple of devs that were strictly VR devs and said, hey, we're going to create some new IP for VR experiences for, the Quest, right? Or Oculus or whatever. And they said, hey, we're going to create some new ones, and we're also going to turn some of which they've already done. Flight Simulator is VR capable. let's say they said we're going to take Forza Horizon 5 and have one of these teams turn that into VR so people that have VR headsets can experience it, I'd be all for it. I say go for it, Microsoft. Good on you. Jump into that space because you could have some big successes over there with some IP. So go do it. That's cool. I just think right now, let everybody else do the heavy lifting. You're doing heavy lifting elsewhere. They've tried doing that before. I'd rather have them simply focused right now on what they got going on with Game Pass and xCloud. So,
and then only on Xbox. I did see the rumor going around that Starfield may be 30 FPS, and that is people running with something that Todd Howard said during an interview, to where he said
old stuff.
To where he said that he does prefer to have more visual quality at the sacrifice, at 30 FPS than he would at 60. Now, do I think that that's going to happen with Starfield? I'm not quite sure. There could be a chance that Todd Howard, and again, as long as he gives people the option, will want to show people how beautiful the game is, right?
Yeah.
If this is his masterpiece that he's been working on, as it's been stated several times over in the way that he's talked about it, I could definitely see a situation where there is a quality mode, let's say.
Yeah, of course.
At 30 FPS, all the settings are completely ramped up, so you can see the beauty in the game. Although I do still think that the 60 FPS version is going to be more of the standard.
Oh, yeah.
More so than anything else.
For sure.
It's going to be more so, hey, we want you to play the game at 60 because it feels great that way, but if you want to get the true visual quality, what we were trying to go for, and how, all the true beauty of the game that we were aiming for, try out quality mode to see how you feel about it. Again,
and Todd doesn't limit the PC side of things to 30.
Yeah,
PC guys can play Fallout and play Oblivion and Skyrim, the most they can play of that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Highest frames possible. So now that the consoles have the same ability, Todd's not dumb. That might be what he prefers, but he knows everybody has their own flavor and the way that they like to play games. He will make it an option now that we have consoles that are able to do that on a regular basis, and other developers have already, obviously we've seen almost every single game now. I have the option of switching between quality and performance mode, especially the AAA stuff, right? So,
right. And Paul AFC, I mean, I'm right there with you. I don't think there's an excuse for it either. I would have preferred games just to completely just come out at 60 FPS because I need people to realize how big of a difference that makes. I still hear people talk about, oh yeah, I could go back to play 30 FPS games and it plays just fine. Boy, you're smoking crack. No, it's not. Once you play
and the Skyrim Anniversary Edition's
different.
at 60. So they re-released it officially at 60. It was a patch.
Yeah.
It was a mod at one point. They officially released it. I'm playing Skyrim Anniversary at 60. So Todd and his team understand. They
and like Doom Reaper says too, and he was like, he says that's a quote not really in context to Starfield directly. Cool. No, it's not. He was just talking about overall what he would prefer, but he's also been in the industry for a long time, and you have to understand, as a creative, of course you're gonna want your games to be as beautiful as possible, but at the same time, as a game dev, you have to make sure that experience is going to be enjoyable for everyone. So, I mean, that's kind of the perspective. 30 FPS, Shisto says 30 FPS does not feel just fine. You're 100% right. It does not feel just fine. It does not feel okay.
It does feel okay.
Yeah.
I go back and play too many old games. So I'm replaying Alpha Protocol on 360.
That's in 30.
So
yeah.
It maybe 30, maybe. There's some moments I don't think it's at 30. So.
Right. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Again, I just want more people to experience 60. I mean, again, we still got people playing on Xbox 360, right? PlayStation 3s, PlayStation 4s, Xbox Ones. Like, we still have to get the masses up to date on what this really feels like. And once we do that, I think people will start seeing, I think more people will start having that open conversation of, yeah, man, I can't go back. There's a complete and utter difference. I know for me, on PC, it's undoable. You cannot play games at 30 FPS on PC. It's not. Like, on console, it's a little bit more debatable because on console, for whatever reason, it comes across a little bit better. On PC, 30 FPS is extremely choppy. It looks choppy. Like, if I showed you 30 FPS gameplay of Horizon Zero Dawn, how it released on console on the PlayStation, it would be night and day. You'd be like, yo, there's something wrong with your game. I'd be like, that's 30 FPS. I can lock into that and everything, and it's going to look extremely choppy. But just to give you that experience. But anyway, so to roll into it, Final Fantasy being exclusive to Sony and Square Enix resting on their laurels and being very choosy and going back and forth with what they want to do as far as
topic.
As this concerns. Man, it's kind of opens up a bit of a can of worms. Just because Square Enix is kind of up and down, right? They still, I've seen the argument people make, oh, well, they're not losing any money. The money that they could have been making on the back end, they have people more so investing in there. Final Fantasy 14 is bigger than ever. Final Fantasy 14 successful. Guys, don't forget the Final Fantasy 14 was in quite a lull state for a while too. As great as that game may be for a lot of people, that game was in a stagnant place for a long time. And then here within the last couple of years, there's been a lot of reinvigoration. It's been reinvigorated in a lot of different ways, and a lot of people love that. I know some people have said, oh, well, look at Final Fantasy 15. People shitting on that game. Well, Final Fantasy 15 still did pretty well, and I actually enjoyed that game. And it was one of the better Final Fantasies to me personally. Again, I'm an action-based kind of combat guy, so that's why I enjoyed it. I also just enjoyed the story. My wife loves that game too. You know what I mean? So it shows you, at least with that example, that it can work. And then also, if you want to look over the fence, Outriders, that worked. So Square Enix, what is the problem? Do you just not want to do deals with an American company? Well, if it's kind of debatable now that PlayStation could be an American company also, since they're completely moved out of Japan. This past Christmas, they didn't even send barely any consoles to Japan, if any. They made sure that everywhere else was supplied, just for as an example. They wanted to make sure that America was supplied, for an example. It seems to me that I don't know. Maybe because Square Enix is just resting on their laurels as far as them having what would be a good way to put it, the relationship that they have with Sony. Maybe that could be part of it. But I don't think it's because of like any particular deal or whatever the case. You think Microsoft wouldn't pay money to have Final Fantasy 16 on their console? Sony's paying for exclusive deals, and that's cool. It's part of the business. It is what it is. We still haven't got Final Fantasy 7. What money are you losing on that? I mean, yeah, I have it on PC, but it's not on Xbox still, and we're going to, 2 years since that's been released also? Like, what money are you losing not putting it on another system? You would actually be gaining more money to fund that next title, i.e., put out the next part of Final Fantasy 7 that Pong wants you to do, because he's not going to buy your damn game until it's fully complete. Just saying.
True story.
Just saying. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't get that perspective from Square Enix, especially when they've seen successes. But also Square Enix kind of limits it on certain things and says, "Oh no, that wasn't successful." And it sells millions of copies. Millions of people play these games, and like, nah, that's not good enough. But then don't want to properly support their games either, and have them or rush them out. That's the other thing too, because Outriders obviously needed a little bit more work on the back end before they just released that game. And I do recall the devs stating on some of those points also when the game initially released. But Pong, for you, I'm going to kind of pass it off to you first, and I'll kind of jump on the back end. Actually, before I pass it off to you, I'm going to go ahead and jump into this article a little bit, just to kind of break down the rumor that Sony wants Final Fantasy games exclusively on PS5 this generation. Again, this is coming from Game Rant. This article is written by Dalton Cooper. So, the Final Fantasy games were once strongly associated with Nintendo. As Square Enix released the first 6 games in the series exclusively on NES and Super Nintendo systems, however, things changed when Sony introduced the PS1, with Square Enix jumping ship to release Final Fantasy games exclusively on PlayStation up to Final Fantasy 11. That was released on PC, and Final Fantasy 13 that launched for Xbox 360. Since then, the Final Fantasy franchise has mostly been multi-platform, with Final Fantasy 14 releasing for both PC and PlayStation consoles, and Final Fantasy 15 coming to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox platforms. While the series remains on PC, it seems as though Sony is wanting Final Fantasy to be console exclusive to PlayStation yet again, if recent rumors are any indication. Video Game Chronicles Jordan Midler recently commented on Reset Era about Square Enix's plan for Final Fantasy. According to Midler, most of the games that Square Enix publishes will make their way to Xbox, but it's doubtful that Final Fantasy games will be on the upcoming Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. Sony wants PlayStation to be the home of Final Fantasy this gen, Midler said. And Midler also pointed out that Final Fantasy VII Remake was supposed to be on Xbox, but that has yet to happen. Then they go on to say, while Sony and Square Enix haven't noticed any official partnership, it does seem like Sony is indeed making sure Final Fantasy is console exclusive to PlayStation 5 this generation. Final Fantasy 16 is a PlayStation 5 console exclusive after all, and even though non-Final Fantasy Square Enix game Forspoken is a PS5 console exclusive as well, while it's certainly possible that one or both of those games will come to Xbox at some point down the line, it may be better if Xbox enthusiasts don't hold their breath. Goodness gracious. With that being said, to me, it comes across Square Enix as being very, very up and down. I don't know. Again, exclusives do sell boxes. Exclusive does sell your service. Yeah, I mean, and I completely understand that. And if that's the reason that they're doing it, kudos to Sony for waking up and realizing how big of an IP Final Fantasy is. Like, you lock it down if that's what you feel like you need to do. Do I feel like it's a necessity? Not necessarily. But, Pong, I want to get your opinions on it because I know this is definitely a passionate topic that you have, especially with the West kind of being not necessarily, I don't want to say jaded, but kind of cornholed or pigeonholed into not getting a lot of these Eastern RPGs and JRPGs and things to that nature. How do you feel about this whole thing? Do you think Final Fantasy is going to be exclusive to PlayStation, or do you think that Square Enix just might try to make sure that they're exclusive to PlayStation to cut those deals? Is it worth it? Like, what's going on with this, man?
Yeah, so it's been a long time kind of hinted at that, obviously not even hinted, it's pretty much in our face at this point that Square definitely favors Sony. That's a long time partnership. Yeah. Again, in the sense of personal feelings, yes, I'm upset. I'm upset with Square. I'm upset with Atlas. I'm upset with all these companies outside of in different countries that seem to avoid Xbox because of the old stigmas that are there that have been placed on Xbox players. Yes, Xbox, again, partly created this themselves because they never really, they did put some effort in. We got some exclusive. We got like Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey back in the 360 days and that kind of stuff. And they paid to have some stuff come over. But at the same time, the audience on Xbox, generally speaking, has not been receptive to a lot of Japanese titles. Sales have always been, low, obviously, compared to the competition. Right. So again, Square Enix is no different there. They've seen those numbers internally. They've made their decisions. Sony has dropped bags off at their door for different things. Obviously, Final Fantasy VII Remake being the biggest one recently, ignoring the potential for a new audience with things like Final Fantasy 14. Like you talked about, Steel, the online, they are at server capacity over there.
Yeah.
Why can't a deal be done where Microsoft says, hey, we'll provide some servers, we'll provide some money, make an Xbox version? Look, there's an untapped, there's an untapped market here, right? There's an untapped market here. Now we've seen success stories like Yakuza and Sega. That was a franchise that really never came to Xbox at all because of those kind of stigmas against us. But yet when Sega dropped Yakuza in a Game Pass, it exploded. Now there's people like Stubbs who never played a Yakuza game before that discovered Yakuza and found out that he loves it, right? And that's been huge. Sega has personally, Sega, the corporation, has come out and said, we have seen incredible numbers come out of Yakuza being on Xbox. So the potential is there. We saw Dragon Quest come over to Xbox and have success as well. So the potential is there. So again, from a personal standpoint, I hate it. I can't stand it. If you're going to just come out and say it, if you're going to go that route, just come out and say it. But of course, you're not going to do that as business. I get it. But from a personal standpoint, it hurts me that they won't give Xbox a fair shake and a fair chance at developing a fan base over on this side, especially when you see the mind share starting to shift back again. Again, right. The Xbox One era, I get it. Like, is it really worth it? Well, to me, yeah, I still think a port would be worth it again to try to build that fan base. But if you make that decision, okay, fine. But now that the mind share is shifting again, that we have this, momentum on the Xbox side of things, I would think you would want to jump in somehow, some way. And if Xbox is willing to give you money, and a problem with Square is that they overvalue their IP. Yes. Right? They ask, we know that they ask for exorbitant amounts of money. I'm sure Sony pays them handily, but I'm sure when Xbox comes a knocking, when Sarah shows up or Phil shows up and says, hey, what can we get done here? I'm sure it's like, okay, well, Sony paid X. We're going to times that by 3 to get it over on Xbox, right? I'm sure they're charging Xbox a premium plus amount of money to try to get those games over here. Okay. So I understand from Xbox's business standpoint, you really want in and you really want those titles, but there has to be, you have to draw a line to where you're saying, nah, you guys are just trying to take advantage of us. Nah, you get out of here. Okay. We're not going to do this. We're not going to play by this rules. So I get from both sides business standpoint what's going on here too as well. I just think it is a missed opportunity for Square, but if it's going to happen, as I just talked about, okay, I think behind the scenes, as Sony gets ready to launch Spartacus, now they're not going to do day and date. Okay, we think at this point they're not going to do a day and date because they can't afford it. I think something like a Gran Turismo 7 could come in there very quickly. Yeah, I think they could move something like that in there very quickly. But let's say day and date's not going to happen on Sony's side. They're still going to make third-party deals to get content exclusive into that service. Again, they're going to have to increase the value of that service. Depending on what price point they want to come in at per month, they're going to have to entice people to stay in that new service itself. Right. So they're going to make third-party deals. So what do? Well, you go partner with the people you're most comfortable with out the gates. If they can offer a Final Fantasy 16 in that service out the gate, look, that's a huge win. Yeah, it is. That's big. Mm-hmm. We can talk about Final Fantasy's number and how relevant it still is these days, but Final Fantasy 7 remake did awesome. Yeah. Right. So now they got to fix their PC ports if they're going to continue that route, because we've heard the PC problems. But at the same time, for them to get their own Game Pass type offering off the ground, they're going to go make those third-party deals. And a Square Enix saying, hey, we'll drop Final Fantasy in there for 3 months, 90 days, very quickly, if it's not even day and date, but very quickly after it launches. Well, that's going to be a big, big win for Sony, and it's going to entice people to sign up. Okay. That's what they're going to do. They're going to follow the Game Pass model in certain aspects. And one of those is going to be providing exclusive content from third parties that you can't get elsewhere. Or even if you can get it elsewhere, to say, hey, you subscribe to us for this monthly fee and you still get access to it. That's a big big deal. So they're going to do that stuff. So Square makes perfect sense. They've been partners in crime for a very long time. Square has, deviated from that, the Tomb Raider deal, all that kind of stuff. Outriders, obviously the latest one coming over. That's all happened. And they're going to continue to do that, but Sony's not worried about that. Sony wants their mainstays, their Final Fantasies, their Dragon Quests, etc., to be over on that side almost permanently, if not permanently. And we saw with Final Fantasy VII Remake, supposedly the contract was up. Supposedly exclusivity was up. Now, if Sony re-upped, they never announced it. Square hasn't said anything. Mm-hmm. They don't have to, no, but we still don't have it on Xbox side. And like people were talking about, if you're on the Xbox side, you can only afford the Xbox ecosystem. You're just going to kind of have to live with the fact that you can't expect Square games to come out on Xbox's side, especially the Final Fantasy series. You just can't expect it. You're just going to have to live with the fact that if you want to play those games, you're probably more than likely going to have to go buy a PlayStation, right? That's just the way it's going to be. So again, both sides are starting to partner up and get closer with certain companies to make sure that they have content and the ability to make deals to bring that content to their platforms, to their services on whether it's a timed exclusive basis, whether it's just a service basis, because as we've seen with Game Pass now, even if a Game Pass is launching even if a game is launching everywhere, if it is in Game Pass, it is automatically associated with Game Pass and Xbox. It's like almost like an exclusive. Like even if everybody knows it's available, once it drops into Game Pass, oh, well, it's Xbox, right? Because where are most people going to play it? Xbox. If you have Game Pass, where are you going to play it? Xbox. So that's the power of that type of ecosystem, to have it in place like that. And I think that's what Sony's going to eventually try to get to with their own Spartacus. And I think that obviously Square is going to be a major partner for them. So makes sense, Steel. It just makes sense in the grand scheme of things. Again, as much as I'm upset about it, it makes sense. The one I'm really upset is Atlas, because Atlas is technically a part of Sega. I know they have kind of autonomy over there. They kind of have the law, they make their own rules. They're kind of their own company within Sega. But still, with the partnership that Sega has with Xbox, I'd really like to see some arm twisting and have those Atlas catalog over here on Xbox, because I think it would find a home. Persona for sure would find a home over here at Xbox. So that's one that makes me sad.
I mean, I think the biggest thing for me that kind of makes it unfortunate, and I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, how are we going to expect for things to move forward? It's competition. You want competition, but you want these games to go everywhere." And it's like, honestly, what it is just accessibility. Yeah. And the biggest problem is that the games are only accessible on one console. Now, some of them are coming to PC, and even then, they're not ported well. So it seems very half-baked from Square Enix to only want to do deals with one side when you could be making so much more money. And then down the road, if you want to stick the middle finger up to Xbox and say, "Nah, we're going to do it with PlayStation," cool. It is what it is. But in the meantime, between time, until you get something solidified, and it could be another one of those, why buy the dinner? Why buy the restaurant when I get the dinners for free? Then, I mean, I can understand that, but until they get bought or whatever the case might be, at least you can have some additional income, making sure that these your games get properly funded. You don't have games like the Final Fantasy Strangers of Paradise game come out and look like a 360 game, at first representation, and we haven't seen anything else from that since. They've kind of went super dark about that, so it's like hopefully everything is going the right way, but then at the same time, it's like Square Enix isn't happy with anything. They said,
they're happy with their Japanese side. They're happy with their Final Fantasies and their Dragon Quest, right? Yeah. But they use the Tomb Raiders. They use those Western studios to fund their Japanese studios. And that's why they always say, well, it wasn't a success. Well, yeah, because you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? That's what you're doing. Right. Because Final Fantasy isn't the most gigantic seller out there anymore. Yeah, it does fantastic, but it's not like blowing up huge like back in the day. So they use that money that comes from a Crystal Dynamics or an Eidos Montreal, and they use it to obviously supply their Japanese developers and beef them up. And then they come back and say, well, Tomb Raider was a failure. No, it wasn't.
It was a great game.
It was a great game. It was a great seller.
Yeah.
You know,
great
look,
series.
they have look at all the praise Guardians of the Galaxies have gotten.
Right.
Guardians of the Galaxy is some people's game of the year. Has Square come out and talked about how successful that game is?
Nope.
Nope.
The devs
Not
have,
at all.
but not Square.
Not Square. I mean, I'm like sitting back going, because you and I talked about this as far as acquisitions goes. Crystal Dynamics and Eidos is definitely,
Montreal,
I believe, on the table. Because I think that Square is actually done with their Western development. I don't think they want to deal with them anymore. As we've seen some hints of that. But at the same time, when I see something like Guardians of the Galaxy come out, I'm going, wow, awesome for Eidos Montreal. I'm really happy for all the devs over there. But God, I don't want to have Square Enix start having second thoughts. But then as the months go by, and there's no word from Square about how happy they are with Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like, what the hell do you guys want over there? My God, these guys put out one of the best third-party action narrative-driven games. People are saying it's got better writing than the movies, and you guys aren't going to come out and praise that?
Wait, at least acknowledge it. Like,
yeah, right.
I think that's a problem, because I mean, at least to me, you know what I'm saying? Because now, if I don't get a Guardians of the Galaxy 2,
right?
Oh, I'm gonna be upset, because it's like, why? The game was nominated for Game of the Year,
right?
In a lot of aspects, and it could have won. Yeah. It's insane. It's just kind of crazy to think about, man. I guess we'll see. I mean, everything's kind of leading credence to Square Enix kind of rolling more to the side of Sony and eventually being bought by them. And then maybe possibly there are going to be some other deals happening in the back end that I just want those devs, like you mentioned, Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics, to be in a good house and not just be let go, or not just be made to seem like they're mediocre, because they're not. They've blatantly demonstrated and showed that they're not just mediocre. And for them not to get the respect that I feel like they should garner, again, I'm not nobody. I'm sitting here playing an armchair CEO, trying to tell Sony how to run their business, right? I don't know any better. I'm just a gamer who loves games and has an idea of what the people love, as far as consumers go, and what I think would benefit us as gamers. But to each their own. They said they got to. They said they got to sell. They said they got to do whatever to bring attention to their brand. Whatever, man. If Final Fantasy being exclusive to Sony is going to do that for you, great, man. Do that. Now, I'm not ever going to be mad about that. You have to have things to sell.
And Shizno, you're not wrong either. There's a lot of old mentality within Square. They're more of a traditional Japanese company still to this day. They have not progressed as much as a lot of companies over there have, like a Sega. So you're right. Some of that could still be biased because Xbox, even though PlayStation has now moved their headquarters to the US, Sony's name is still such a icon within the Japanese culture that they still give preferential treatment to Sony at the end of the day and look at Xbox as the evil Western company. I still believe that there probably is still some of that thought process within upper management at Square, for sure.
And 100%. And Shizno, I mean, he says, I hate to say it, but I think it's because Xbox is an American company. Yeah, it could be. But in this day and age, come on, man. Like, that old ass fucking thinking, that shit has to go out the damn door, bro. Like, at least bring your games to PC for sure. Like, or whatever the case. And again, we're probably going to end up seeing that with PlayStation more and more as we move into the future. Again, I'll go on the fence and say that I think that Spider-Man 2 going to end up being on PC also. Personally. And it may take 6 months, because, guaranteed, they're going to definitely want to make that money. But I can see a scenario, because the first Spider-Man still isn't on PC yet. And it's kind of coming up on due time for it to be. God of War is already coming. I can see around E3 time them saying, hey, by the way, Spider-Man, all the DLCs coming to PC, coming to whatever store that they end up picking, and then going from there. So I don't know. It just opens the door for a lot of different things. But with that being said, that is going to be the majority of well, not the majority. That is going to be all the topics. So amazing that we were able to get through that. Excellent conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being tuned in. This next section, we will be getting into this day in gaming. Basically where I make Pong feel old and we go back within the last 30 years of gaming history and just help people reminisce and think of some of the older titles that they ended up playing back in the day. Overall, the reason we do this, the same thing with the upcoming games, as I've always stayed here, is because gaming is art and should be treated as such. Again, shout out to the brother Everborn Saga for putting that idea out there, and I've just been running with it ever since. I haven't really heard him say it since then, but I know he agrees with me on that. So, let's get into that. Oh, and by the way, a side note before I get into the This Day in Gaming segment, did you see? I sent you the link for it. They're expecting Dying Light 2. The dev said to 100% the game is going to take you 500 hours.
What?
No,
I did not see that.
To 100% the game. Now, that's not the story mode or whatever the case, but to do everything in the game is going to be I sent it to your DMs. It's going to be 500
I see it now. I see it now.
Hours.
What?
I can believe it. I can believe it. With as long as this game has been in development and the ups and downs that it's had. Again, hey, Pong, I'm right there as your co-op partner right there. I love the first Dying Light. I thought it was an excellent game. Everything that I'm seeing from the second game, it does have me excited. Again, as I've stated here, I'm not a huge zombie dude, but Dying Light, for some reason, really hits those nails on the head for me, and I really want to see where they end up taking it and everything. So I'm excited to see that much content coming into this game. Again, it's not 500 hours to beat the game. It's just 500 hours to do everything in the game to 100% it. So I think that's interesting.
It is interesting because
they said that,
bro. Yes, that's a lot of. I mean,
that's a lot of time. That's a lot of content.
That's a lot of content. Yeah.
It definitely gives me some.
But I can't wait to hop into it because I do like Dying Light.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an excellent time.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this day in gaming segment. All right, so starting on January 8th, and we're going back to 1988. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, I was selling my father's ball sack.
I was 13 years old already, still as a teenager. Look at me.
Oh goodness. All right, well, you might remember this one. In the arcade, you had Super Contra.
Hell yeah.
Yo, Contra.
Super Contra was shit.
Contra's
back
amazing.
in the day.
Oh,
yeah.
Yo, Contra, I think it was it PlayStation 2? I think it was on PlayStation 2. I think Contra on the PlayStation 2. If I'm thinking about the right one, I could be off.
I don't know, to be honest. I could answer that, but I don't know.
I can't recall. Either way, I think that was around the time that I got introduced to it, and man, it was amazing. We used to sit there, take turns, because you'd see how far you could get, and then the game would restart you. So it's like we would take turns, seeing how far each individual would get, and then we would judge each other based off of that. But then going into 1991, you had Game Boy released the Operation C in Japan. I don't know what Operation C. I don't know what Operation C. Operation Cat, Operation Coochie, Operation Coke. I don't know. Then in 1993, Super Nintendo released Alien vs. Predator in Japan. Look how far we've come, man.
Long ways.
I need a proper Alien vs. Predator game. You know how dope that would be for like a PvP game?
The Jaguar version still to this day is absolutely incredible. Like it's impossible to go back and play now.
Oh yeah.
Like you can get the emulation and it's like you look at it and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? But I'm serious. At the time, it was so far ahead of the curve. It was so hard and so much fun. Dude, be able to select between playing Predator, playing Marine, or playing an alien with all different special abilities.
That is so dope.
It was so
they need to
cool, man.
redo something like that. I think that would take the world by storm on 100%. Instead of just keep trying to make them separate. Like, oh, here's a Predator game. Oh, now here's an Alien game. Just combine them. Like, give me all the abilities. Like, I think that would take it to the next level. All right, then let me pull that page back up. In 1998 on PlayStation, they released Alundra. I don't recall that title.
Yeah, I played Alundra.
And then the PlayStation also released No One Can Stop Mr. Domino. Okay.
I don't think so.
Somebody stopped them. 2004, PC released Alpha Ball. Not familiar with that. And then PlayStation 2 released Seven Samurai
20XX.
20XX. Yes, sir.
20XX. I don't remember that one at all either.
Oh, neither. And then in 2008, PSP and the Wii released Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. I'm not familiar with that title, but that's all right. Then Xbox 360 released Kingdom Under Fire, Circle of Doom.
Kingdom Under Fire is a series IP that needs to live on. Kingdom Under Fire deserves another chance, especially with current gen, for sure. Kingdom Under Fire is cool as hell.
Then on PlayStation 2 and on the Wii, when I played the original version of this game, they released Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. Definitely one of the better racing type games that came out during that era. Again, I played the previous iteration. I believe Zero Gravity was the second version of the game. I played Sonic Riders on GameCube. That was an amazing game. Then in 2008, also PlayStation 2 released Yu-Gi-Oh! GX: The Beginning of Destiny. Don't recall playing that game. There are some other Yu-Gi-Oh! Games that I did play around that time, but I don't think it was that one. Then in 2013, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 released Anarchy Reigns. Not familiar. Then PlayStation Vita released Earth Defense Force 2017.
Oh, yeah. Anarchy Remains. Hey, I remember that game. Oh, yeah. Another one of those lost titles in between, like again, there was so many during the 360 era. It was just like, it was a wild, wild west, man. During the 360, there was devs creating all sorts of craziness, like throwing it up against the wall to see what would stick. Oh yeah. So yeah, pretty good game actually. So anyways, sorry.
No, you're good. Then on PlayStation 3, they released Sega Vintage Collection, Alex Kidd and Co. And
Alex Kidd?
Yeah, Alex Kidd.
Yep.
And then, and then on PC, they released Urquan Masters HD. I'm familiar with that.
Nope.
All right. Then in 2015, Android released Crossy Road. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I haven't had my mobile time, so I don't know what it is.
Either. And then iOS released Doc McStuffins Mobile Clinic Rescue. Dragon Mania Legends.
What are you McStuffin? What the fuck?
That's the name of the doctor, man. Her name's Dr. McStuffins. She's good people. She helps heal all your toys, man. You know?
Okay.
My kids love it. They've never played this game, but they love Doc McStuffins.
Moving on.
Then iOS released Space Marshals. Speaking of Space Marshals, I actually recently acquired Space Marines, the Warhammer game. I want to give that a good playthrough and go through that before the new game comes out. I've heard a lot of people
360 again, buddy. I picked it up.
Yeah, I definitely I got it on PC, so I'm definitely excited. After I finish Horizon, I want to give that a run through.
What's funny is the dude that I bought it from, Alpha Macari, he messaged me and he's like, he messaged me and he goes, "Hey, I was testing it to make sure that it worked." And he goes, "I didn't realize how good this game is." He goes, "I'm gonna have to find another copy for myself." I said, "Yeah, it is. It's underrated, especially for you guys on PC though, Steel, because you get the performance. Because the performance on the 360 is."
I'd imagine it was abysmal.
It's 360. It's still a great game. It's still a fun game, and I can't wait for Space Marine 2. I'm so hyped for that game. But yeah, you guys on PC, I was watching. It's Alex. He was playing through it again on PC, and I was like, yeah, that looks nothing like what I'm playing on 360 at all. So,
yeah, it looks to complete two different games. I was looking at that too.
Yeah. Then in 2016, PC released Punch Club.
PC released Punch Club. Okay. Yeah. Then in 2016, PC released Punch Club. 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 All right. Then in 2020, PC released Waxworks Curse of the Ancestors.
Ooh, that sounds like a point and click game if I've ever heard of one.
It does. It does definitely sound like it definitely sounds like a point and click game for sure. Waxworks. Oh god. Anything with the word wax in it always makes me think about House. What is it?
House of Wax.
Yeah, that movie is such a fucking trip. And in 2021, PC released The Labyrinth. I believe that's all. I feel
was that based on the movie? I bet you it was based on the movie. How much? When was it released?
2021. It says it's a text-based dungeon crawler with an emphasis on combat and looting. Take a party of 4 heroes on a quest to purge an underground dungeon.
So it's going back to the old days of when you had to type in what you want to do. I bet.
Maybe something around there.
Yep. Bet you that's what it is. Interesting.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that was your This Day in Gaming segment. I do have to thank everyone today for coming out. Excuse me, I got some gas built up and everything. Oh, goodness. Get that out quick. All right. But again, like I was saying, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out and joining us on our return back into the new year of 2022 on episode 39 of Living Splitscreen. It's going to be crazy to think that we're going to be doing episode 40 next Saturday. Per everything goes well, we don't run across any issues or nothing family related, or no emergencies happen. So definitely keep us in your prayers and everything. And nothing's happening. I'm just saying. World's been crazy. World just seems to be getting crazier. And I'm just looking for some sense of normalcy. But with that being said, again, all you wonderful people in chat, I do want to thank you. The fact that you guys were here, even on the 30-minute late start, is an amazing thing. Again, apologize for the technical issues. Usually, we always start on time. I think I definitely pride ourselves in doing that. I hate when I go to shows and it says it starts at a certain time, and then it don't start for like 10 more minutes after the start time. I'm like, man, it makes me not want to watch it now. But I am glad you guys stuck it out. You were having some amazing conversations in here. Always good to see you beautiful people in here. Glad to see your support consistently, even going into this new year. And like Pong said, the road to 1,000 is alive and well. We're definitely selling ourselves short on that. I feel like I want to hit at least 2,000 by the end of the year. I feel like that is going to be a solid, obtainable goal. Again, we're going to try to do some different things. Once me and Pong can really sit down and get some conversation in and decide about some other things that we may want to do, maybe put some other things into action. And then let's see how the year goes. Who knows? And we'll kind of go from there. Maybe we'll get sponsored by Manscaped.
Yeah, or G Fuel. I want G Fuel.
Ooh, you want G Fuel? I would be down to try some G Fuel. I want to try. I want to try it. I'm
a pre-workout guy, so I'd love to have some G Fuel. If I
can get sponsorship, I do want to try that out for free. I try it out for free. Hey, G Fuel. I know you're probably not listening, but
anybody in the chat got any connections to G Fuel? Let us know. Hit us up.
Let us know. You like this energy that we give you on a Saturday morning? We can take it up another level.
I take a pre-workout in the morning, so man, I will advertise the hell out of it every day. I'll post a video. G Fuel.
Look, this is Steel just now getting the coffee to kick in. Just now, off of 1 hour of sleep, if that. So with that being said, again, thank you for coming out. I'll go ahead and do my outro first. Then you can find me, Steel Rain, everywhere. The T is a 7. As long as it has a search bar, as long as you type that in, you'll more than likely find me. Whether it be you want to look at my stats, you want to look at my gamer score, you want to look at whatever. I'm not hiding nothing from y'all. Come see me. Let's talk about some games. You want a 1v1, whatever the case may be. I'm always here for that. Or if you just want to get some PvP in, maybe team up or whatever the case, definitely hit me up and let me know. My inbox is open and willing. Other than that, man, you can always find me here every Saturday, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. UK time. And then not only that, you can also find me sometimes with Mr. Boomstick XL.
That's true.
Every now and then, if I end up getting a day off, I do end up hitting Boom up, since he did give me the golden ticket to come through whenever I had an opportunity to. Anytime I can, I'll come through there. I love what Mr. Boomstick does on his channel. He's part of the biggest reason, one of the bigger reasons that I'm in here, him and Dealer, their content, the way that they talk about it, the energy, the excitement, the passion, again, kind of like what we do here. It's one of the key things that, again, I will always pride ourselves in, because it's not like it's just me bringing the energy or it's just Pong bringing the energy. It's both of us as a collective, and that's an extremely unique thing, because it's that one quality right there is something that's very lacking in the YouTube space. You don't see people talking about things the way that we talk about them, hitting the angles that we kind of talk about them at. And again, there's no tea, no shade. You take it how you want. I'm just being honest. And if we want to grow, we have to be honest with each other. So other than that, if you hate us, let us know. If you like it, hit that like button so more people can let it to know when we go live, man. We want to be able to pop up on that YouTube page, on that front page when people are searching for their gaming content and everything, or maybe even just podcast itself. And also, if you are watching live, I went ahead and added all the audio platforms that we are uploaded to. I also added it on the intro. So right now that's going to be Anchor, Apple, Spotify, Google, and then I believe this last one is, dang it, I can't think of the name of it. I think it's Stitcher.
Okay.
I believe it's Stitcher. Any of those audio platforms, you could definitely catch us on there. I usually upload the episode about an hour afterwards, after we go live. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, depending if I have to do any work on the back end, or depending on what I got going on. Like today, I might mess around, take a nap for a little bit, depending on how I'm feeling. Or I might just make another cup of coffee and just stick it out and get something to eat. Make another cup of coffee, stick it out, just maybe get some gaming in. But other than that, Pong, it was wonderful doing walking into the new year with you, man. I know we didn't do a show on New Year's Day, which is perfectly fine. Again, we were spending time with family. We needed a 2-week break, was amazing. I think that's gonna be.
You were upset. You told me F you in the DMs. You told me we were done. You were pretty pissed.
I told you I was gonna next time I see you, I'm gonna throw hands with you. No,
exactly.
No. I think that may be something that we continue to do on a year-to-year basis as long as we're doing this. We may, because I did like some of the things that Sacred Symbols does on their side with Colin Moriarty, where they had content ready to go, still releasing.
Of course.
We may still do something like that. Maybe not podcast necessarily, but definitely some content to where you guys can have something on a week-to-week basis, maybe a couple episodes around those times when we do take breaks. But really, I think then and maybe Thanksgiving is probably going to be the only times that if they fall on a Saturday, where we'll end up taking those breaks and everything, or just depending on what's going on. So, anyway, Pong, lead them to victory. Appreciate you being here, man, and much love, man. Much love.
Absolutely. Nothing but love, brother. So it's good to be back in the chair on Living Splitscreen for episode 39 with my brother. It was great to talk to you for a few hours, man. We have not talked that much outside of DMs. So it was fantastic to be here and chat. You guys coming out back to support us after vacation is always incredible. I know some people are still in vacation mode. Look, I just trimmed the vacation beard down to back to business shadow is where what I'm at. Yeah, you got the nice stuff going on, man. I can't handle it. So, but I finally am over vacation mode. So it is back to business. But this was fantastic. I miss the Saturday stuff, man. I miss all my shows, especially. But with you, Steel, it's extra special, and you know that, brother. So great to be back. Living Splitscreen episode 39 was fantastic. I think we did a lot of good chatting. Had a lot of good chats with the chat, which is what we originally started out wanting to do. We wanted this to be an involved community. No matter how big we get, we want to be able to involve the community. You guys had some great points, great questions. We had a lot of great people stop through today. Love you all. Nothing but respect for that, for sure. So find me, Pong Soul, Xbox, Twitter, Tonight, the Shop podcast is back as well. And PTK Blam, that's PTK Blam's channel. Please stop in there. Such a great show. Tonight, we have Floor Hugger from Level 1 Gaming tonight, and she is awesome. So it should be a great way to jump back into the shop. That's tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time, PTK Blam's channel. Go check out his Twitter. I'll obviously be retweeting it as well, but please check us out. It's a great time. And then Tuesdays, Xbox Factor podcast, Double Barrel Gaming, like my brother Steel said, Mr. Boomstick, of course. Zemi is no longer with us because he's got real life job now that's going to take precedence, which is awesome for him. Congratulations again on that, Zemi. So we've got Archimedes. We have Mav when he is available. We have 3-Bit maybe coming back this week. He did actually show up on Xbox Ultimate last night, which would be cool. But Mr. Boomstick has added Mr. Joanna Dark to replace Zemi. Yeah, good member of the community, works for Xbox and just has a lot of great thoughts. So swing on by. Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Thursday nights is PM in the PM, Pong and Mav on the PM over on Fun Speculations channel. Please stop in. You like this format, this 2-man kind of talk back and forth. PM in the PM is going to give you the same type of vibe. Me and Mav, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Again, we just had good discussions this week, so go check that one out if you missed it on Thursday night. Really good time over there as well. And then Friday nights, back on Fun Speculations channel, Xbox Ultimate. We are now the Great 8. So we have Jasper is now a part full-time of that show. So we are now up to 8. But as with any big family, we got people that are not there some weeks and whatever else and have things going on. So, but last night we actually had all 8 of us. So, and Mav always usually schedules guests. Last night for the first time back in 2022, he did not, but I'm assuming he'll get back to scheduling guests as well. But Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, Xbox Ultimate, great show. And then otherwise, next week, I love my even numbers, 40. That's right. We're going to be 40, catching up to my age shortly here. So we're going to be on episode 40, Living Splitscreen right back here again. Like Steele said, going into this year, we have some big goals. Again, real life always comes first. Steele and I are extremely busy people. We got a lot going on. However, Steele and I have talked in the DMs. We do want to lean into this. So expect to start seeing some different stuff from us at some point, some more stuff. I'm hoping to get set up with an actual real PC at some point this year where I can start creating content as well. Steele and I will get that worked out, and we will be doing some extra special things here and there, hopefully to give you guys more of that live, raw, and uncut energy that we bring. So love you all. It's the golden age of gaming. If you can't tell, Steele and I talked a lot, and we didn't even get to all our subjects again, which we never do. But again, there's a lot more going on, but it is the golden age of gaming. So please play what you love what you play. Get out there this weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Please keep Spooky Sprocket in your prayers and thoughts while you're doing so. Please just take a moment, give them some energy. But love you all. Talk to you all real soon. Have a awesome weekend. See you later. Love you guys.
Peace. Y'all stay safe, be easy, and we'll see y'all next week right here, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. UK time with your Living Split Screen guys, your new Saturday morning cartoons. Y'all stay easy.